This episode is brought to you in part by Exoterra. If you're as passionate about reptiles and amphibians as I am, you know that quality matters. I use Exoterra products on all my reptile and amphibian enclosures, which is why I'm excited to be partnering with them. From naturalistic decor to innovative lighting and enclosures of all sizes, Exoterra has everything you need for your cold-blooded companions. Exoterra. Make your reptiles feel at home. This episode is brought to you in part by Unlimited Exotic Pets. Every day is Veranda Day for Nick Lillis, and it shows. At Unlimited Exotic Pets, Nick produces high-quality monitor lizards with a deep commitment to ethical care practices and top-tier nutrition. These aren't just pets. They're responsibly bred, ethically raised animals. Whether you're looking for a new companion, starting a breeding project, or anything in between, Nick has you covered. Unlimited Exotic Pets, keeping and breeding quality without limitations. Love reptiles? Don't miss this. If you're passionate about reptiles, amphibians, and everything cold-blooded, Reptiles magazine is a must-have. Each issue is packed with expert care tips, stunning photography, and the latest news in the reptile world. Whether you're a seasoned herpetologist or just starting your reptile journey, this magazine has something for you. Subscribe today and stay informed on the best ways to care for your scaly friends. For only $14.99 a year, you can step outside your algorithm and get exposure to things that you wouldn't normally see or learn about. My family reads Reptiles magazine, and you should too. Visit subscribe.reptilesmagazine.com to get started. This is the Expert and the Idiot podcast. If you like the show and you'd like to support us, there's a link to our Patreon in the description below. Some benefits include getting access to new episodes up to a month in advance. There's also links to USARK and USARK Florida. If you're not already a member, please sign up. Enjoy the show. Welcome to episode 82 of The Expert and the Idiot. Today I am talking to Nick Burgener. It's Burgener, right?
I usually don't correct people. I say Burgener, but...
Oh, it's
but
Burgener.
You can say whatever you want, dude. It doesn't hurt my feelings.
No, I'm gonna say it the right way. I mean, my last name is kind of wonky and nobody ever gets it right. It's
I want you to
say.
What is it?
It's pronounced say.
So, oh yeah, no, I wouldn't have gotten that right.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, then it's mutual. So I'm here with Nick Burgener and of Big Borg Reptiles. Where did that name come from, Big Borg?
So it's funny because people, I guess it's a Star Trek reference. I didn't know that. I was just like bouncing ideas off of a friend, and she's like, "Oh, you should be Big Nerd Reptiles," because I do watch Star Trek. It's like I'm into nerdy stuff. So you should be Big Nerd Reptiles. I was like, I'm not going to be big. There's nerd already. Like, I'm not doing that. And so we were just like saying words back and forth. And she's like, oh, Big Burgener. And I was like, no, how about Big Borg? Just random nonsense. I was like, nope, that's what I'm doing. That doesn't make any sense. That's fine. That's what I'm doing. So,
wow.
No, just nonsense.
That's crazy. And it stuck around.
Yeah. I mean, once you use it for a while, it's hard to change it. So whatever. Yeah. It is what it is.
So what's your origin story? How did you get into reptiles? I mean, I think I just saw a post from yesterday that you have like 200 babies right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, like how did you get to this point?
So it's funny. Like I think most people who get into reptile breeding kind of have a similar start story, which is I was always out. I was into nature. I liked catching snakes. I liked catching frogs, turtles, all that stuff. I was just really into it just from a nature standpoint. And as a kid, like my parents got us geckos. They shouldn't have, right? Like we were little kids. We did not know what we were doing. We were just like catching bugs in the yard and like throwing them in there. It's like, it was not good, in hindsight. But I think a lot of people have a similar story, but I never thought about it from a breeding standpoint at all until I met this girl in college. We were friends. I went over to her house one day and we're chatting. She's like, "Do you want to see my snakes?" And I'm like, is this a sexual thing? Like, what are you getting at? And she goes over to a corner of her house and she's just got a stack of tubs. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she pulls it out and she pulls a snake out. And I'm just like, why do you have these? Like, what is going on? And she's like, oh, I'm going to breed them. You breed snakes. It's like, what? Who breeds snakes? What are you talking about? And she starts showing me online all these different morphs and all these different things that I was so blown away. Like, oh my God, I didn't even know this was a thing. And I just kind of fell in love with the idea. And that was how I originally got into this and started looking at morphs, finding things I thought were cool, picking animals up, and then just went from there and just kind of blew up.
Wow. And how many years ago was that?
So this was, I can't remember if we met. It was 2011 or 2012. I want to say my first actual breeding year was 2012. It might have been 2013.
Wow.
But yeah, so we started off, like, for me, it was, I saw an ivory and I was like, this is the most amazing thing. Like, you can take two snakes that look totally normal, essentially, to any normal person. They just look like normal snakes. And you can put them together and you can get this white snake. Like, what an amazing genetic thing to happen. And so, yeah, we just bought like 4 yellow bellies and we had like a couple het pieds because, of course, when you're starting out, the pied is the most amazing thing you've ever seen. And that was kind of where we started. We just had like 8 snakes. And then, like most reptile people, that turned into 20 and then 30 and then 50. And
Wow.
yeah, it just kept happening. But
so what are you at now? Like, how many adults do you have in your collection now?
I really try to keep under 50 female ball pythons. I feel like getting 30, 40 clutches of ball pythons is plenty. So I have about 50 adult females. Males, I usually run 1.4, so that's 15 males about. And then I have a lot of other species, and then I have a lot of holdbacks. So, I mean, just in babies alone right now, this is a bad time of year. I have a lot of, like, all this stuff hatches out. So just in babies, I've got around 250 right now. And then
Wow.
adults, I'm not sure off the top of my head. It's not that many. I mean, maybe 100, 150. I really...
It's not that many.
I just saw Jeff Byers showed his baby room, and it's just like a mile long wall of tubs. I'm like, dude, there's no way I could handle that. Because I work full time too. I don't have time to, I can't manage a huge collection. I couldn't. So
what do you do for work?
So I work in dermatology. Yeah, I don't want to get. It's kind of weird. I started in a path lab, so basically, when a doctor takes tissue from a patient and we're diagnosing cancer or we're diagnosing disease, and so I started there as a tech. I ended up being the manager there, just kind of implementing all these processes and procedures to make sure the tissues are being processed correctly, everything's accurate, everything's
Wow.
we're getting the right diagnoses for patients. So.
I'm in Florida, so that's very popular here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Especially with an elderly population and all the sun. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even at my age, working outside, I've already had stuff cut off my ears, which is kind of nuts. I remember when it was happening, I was like, I'm like still in my 20s, I think is when that happened. I'm like, how is this happening? And it was like, well, you don't wear sunscreen or a hat like an idiot,
right?
And
no, ears and nose are super common because that's just where you get hit. Like that's where the sun's baking you. So
yeah, it's wild. And like it's kind of a cultural thing, being in the like none of the guys you work with you use PPE, and so then you're kind of viewed as like this weak person if you're wearing and then all of a sudden
let me put on my sunscreen before we start, guys.
Yeah, and then like a dude comes in and he's missing like the tip of his nose, and like a dramatic amount of the tissue has been taken out of his nose, and he's like, you need to wear a hat and sunscreen, like you shouldn't be out. And then like everybody, then it's like again, it's a cultural thing where then everybody's like, oh man, I really need to take this seriously.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things I never thought about until I was in the industry. Like, you don't think about getting skin cancer, especially when you're younger. Like, why? I don't care. I'm not putting sunscreen on. But you start to see a lot of it, and you're like, oh my God, like that could be me. I'm going to start being a little more mindful, I think. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I often say white folks don't belong this close to the equator.
No,
it's a
it's
bad
tough, dude.
spot to be.
Yeah, it's tough.
We're not meant for this environment. So yeah, I mean that's wild. Like you were saying, like 50 females, and then you're kind of that's just your ball pythons. Though you've
Yeah,
got so much more than ball pythons, dude. I mean you've got like, so what's funny is, and I guess I'll give a little bit of background here, is how I kind of found your account.
yeah,
Was I was looking for I already got a female spotted python from Ryan. And then I wanted to have a trio, so I wanted to get a pair. And he said that he had a light year with males, and that he'd be able to get one for me. And so that male came from you. And
yeah,
then I think I was filling out just like my card on that animal of like, and I'm like, hey Ryan, who produced this? And he's like, oh, check out Nick over at Big Borg. And like, then I'm looking at your account and I'm like, oh my God, like you have so much stuff and it doesn't end. Like you keep, like I keep scrolling. Like I remember just going through your Instagram account and I'm like, oh, he's got rings. That's cool. And he's got like tree boas, and he's got more boas, and he's got, so it's not, you're not just in the world of pythons. Like you've got a lot of boas as well.
yeah,
Which I really love. Like I love a diverse collection, because I have a very diverse collection. Like I'm not a breeder. I just like having a diverse group of animals. And so, I mean, you've got short-tail pythons,
yeah,
you've got Antaresia, you've got Liasis out the wazoo. I mean, you've reproduced Dunn's pythons,
yeah.
right? Which
I got done this year. Yeah,
that's a huge accomplishment. I mean, congratulations. Like
thank
it seems
you.
like this year has been just like absolutely insane for you, right?
I did better last year. I did 13 python and boa species last year, and
Wow.
I was really proud of myself, honestly, because it is hard. I think if you do one species or a couple of species, it's not like you still have to know what you're doing. You still have to work to do it, but you don't have to pay that much attention. But when you start getting into like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 species, they're all a little bit different. They're all like fairly similar, but you do have to do slightly different things. And if you're watching for a female to be building, you're watching for certain behaviors. It's a lot to keep track of. So I was really proud of myself. I was able to do that, and it was a really cool year. But man, like I said earlier, when baby season hits, when we hit this time of year, I am so overwhelmed. Like I keep up on it. I'm doing everything, but man, I get home from work and I'm cleaning and feeding until I go to bed with the
Wow.
number of babies. So last year, after I had all of them, I was like, okay, I'm taking a break. I can't do this again. Uh, and and then this year I bred 9 species, which is still just insane. And so this is me taking a break. Apparently, I just had to realize I can't look at a female and see that she's building and not pair her. I don't have it in me. Like I'm incapable. I'm lucky that most of my boas were still putting on weight. So I couldn't pair. I mean, I could have, but I don't think they would have gone anyway. But I was just like, okay, I'm for sure not pairing them. They need to put size on. But then a lot of other stuff was like the rings were ready this year, the Duns were ready this year, the Maclots were ready this year, and it's like, well, they're ready. I'm going to pair them, and
Yeah,
so that's the Bloods too. They were ready this year, so they went. Um,
man. So how do you, I mean, what are some of the, because I keep boas and pythons, and I do want to reproduce them, long term. What are some of the biggest differences between the two, in regards to reproduction?
just boas and pythons in general.
Yeah.
So I mean, as far as behaviorally, I don't think there's much difference at all. Like
Okay.
they all they want to eat, they want to eat, they want to eat, they want to breed, and then they just all of a sudden aren't interested in eating. Like they all go through those same behaviors. They'll all of a sudden be cruising. There's a lot of things that are, I think, pretty universal across all species, boas or pythons. The biggest difference I think that I do with the two is pythons. I start cooling in the fall. I start pairing in the fall, and I start feeding really heavy for the species I've bred. Anyway, this has worked. I start feeding heavy, pairing heavy, and then I warm them up in the spring. The boas, I drop down and I leave the males in. I kind of cut way back on feeding, and I do not bring their heat back up until I see the female ovulate. So I keep them down. I don't cycle them until they look like they need the heat again. And
Okay.
and I don't know, like, to be fair, I don't think I'm a boa expert by any means. I've been very successful. Like, I have 7 adult females. All of them have gone at least once in the last 2 years. So whatever I did was working, but I don't, like, I haven't been keeping boas for 10 years. Like, pythons, I've had a long time. I'm very confident with pythons, but boas are still kind of an enigma to me. They're new to me. I've done well, but I don't. We'll see if I continue to do well. I hope I do, obviously.
Well, I saw you had a post the other day where you were like, I don't get it, I've and I don't know if are you, do you try to be a little bit inflammatory with some of your posts, because it's like, because I remember when I first like snooped on your Facebook account, like I also found, and it's such a funny picture of you with an ultrasound, but it's not an ultrasound.
It was just a laptop that said pregnant on it, and I was using a heat gun, holding a heat gun against the female. Yeah, so there's a lot of things, like, people will say things, because I try to be pretty even keeled with people to start, but people in the hobby sometimes are dickheads, dude, and they'll make comments, like really snide comments, and I'm like, okay, dude. So like that all stemmed from, I don't know if I'm gonna name drop. I'm not trying to get into stuff. This guy, I just asked him, because I've been breeding a long time. I've never used an ultrasound. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, all these ball python breeders are telling people, oh, if you want to be successful, you need to use an ultrasound. And to me, it's just gatekeeping. You don't need an ultrasound to be successful. Like, I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but I'm pretty sure I have a higher percentage of my females go than these guys do. And so if you're going to sit here and tell new keepers, if you want to be successful, you have to do this. It's like, no, you don't, dude. You need to learn to read your animals. That's what you need to do. But so it started off, I just asked him, what's the point of an ultrasound? Like, what is it even doing for you other than telling you not to pair? Like, don't pair this female right now. And his response to me was, oh, I'm sorry, you're too poor to afford one.
Whoa.
It's just like, what, dude? Are you being serious right now? Like, you can't even have a basic conversation with me? It's like, okay, well, I'll never spend money with you. So that's where that stemmed from. So that was me trying to, like, just have a conversation with another breeder and them being a dick. And I'm like, okay, well, then this is now going to be a running joke. Like, every time I post, like, every time I'm having success, and be like, oh, boy, sure wish I could have an ultrasound. Boy, sure wish I can afford an ultrasound. Like, I just got a pair of Savus. I got these Savus, but boy, I wish I could afford an ultrasound. Like, just like, F you, dude. So that's where most of that stuff comes from, is someone said something to me, and I don't get over stuff. I just don't. I hold it. And I had somebody asked me the other day, like, how have you bred all this different stuff? And my response, very sincerely, is spite, dude. Like, I operate on spite. If somebody thinks I can't do something or they talk down to me, the whole thing with the boas, I was friends with people who, like, all they did was breed boas, and they always called me a ball python breeder. You're a ball python breeder. You'll never, like, the whole time I was coming up, it was, oh, these ball python breeders are never going to be able to be successful like us boa breeders. And it bugged me so much. They made it seem so hard as a newer keeper. I didn't even want to try. And then, like, I had some boas. I didn't even want to try because I didn't want to fail, right? I was scared to do it. I didn't want to fail at it. And then I bred them all. Like, and they did the same thing as pythons. Like, these things are not hard. So all these years, these people have been putting me down, acting like they're better than me. And they're not doing anything special. I'm sorry, like, you're not doing anything special. You're breeding a different type of snake. And so that's where some of that comes from. Like, and I do make jabs at people, but it's usually in retaliation. Like, they started it. So
it seems like you kind of really have an issue with the gatekeeper mentality of the hobby, which I do too. It's kind of, I think it's like I love the hobby, and I think that 98% of the people in the hobby are awesome.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of cool people.
There's so many cool people that will, I mean, that's kind of the whole idea behind this podcast that I'm doing, is that I I'm an idiot, right? And I want to talk to
Well, I
people
am
that
too,
if,
but
well, your Instagram says otherwise. I mean, just from the pictures, not you using words, but the pictures say otherwise, but the whole idea behind it is like, I want to talk to the cool people that want to talk to me and help inform other people that maybe they never even want to breed a snake. Maybe they just want to be a pet keeper. Maybe they just want to keep snakes, but they want to do it to the best of their ability. And I think that there's so much for keepers to learn from breeders.
yeah.
That they can implement on a very small scale, but to have healthier animals, whether it be fasting your snakes or putting them through cycles that are more natural and better for them long term, right? Like there's a lot of benefit there to be had.
When we do see a lot of breeders pushing, dude, I still see this and it drives me nuts. They're breeding their ball pythons at a year old, a year and a half old. They're females. They're breeding Burms at 2 years old. I'm like, what are you guys doing? This is insane to me. But yeah, just the making it seem to the newer keeper that's coming in and they just want to learn and they just want to making it seem like it's this super difficult, hard thing that we're doing. It's really not. Like you let the snakes naturally want to reproduce. That's how they're designed. We just need to facilitate that. It's not difficult. It's not complicated. I think there's some species that we still, as keepers, we haven't dialed it in, but one day we will. I mean, it used to be ball pythons were hard to breed. People were importing ball pythons. They were considered difficult. Crested geckos were considered difficult. And now it's just like, oh, you just throw them together. Like we know how to set them up to let them do what they need to do. But I've been very fortunate, when I started out, like I said, a lot of gatekeeping, a lot of making this seem like some really hard task. Like only the really, really good people can breed boas. But I've become really good friends with Ryan Young, and his standpoint's the opposite. Like every time I'm questioning, like, boy, man, I don't know if I'm going to get this species to go. His response is, dude, they're easy. They're all the same. Just do what you do. You got this. And it's like, okay, that's what we should be doing, right? Is encouraging other people, like trying to build them up, like not trying to make this seem like some impossible task, like you can't possibly do it. Like, no, you can. If you want to, you can. If you actually have the desire to do it, you 100% can.
How did you become friends with Ryan? Like how did like is he like a mentor to you? Would you view him that way?
So I would just consider him a friend. Like I'll ask him, dude, I'll tell you, like some of these babies I've produced, if he hadn't been there to help me, I would have had a bad time. Like he's told me so many little tricks with the babies, getting them started. But the problem with breeding is he has a facility. I'm breeding out of a spare bedroom. So like when he's like, oh yeah, I dropped my whole room X degrees, like I do this, I turn this group's heat off. I'm like, dude, I can't. Even if I wanted to replicate what you're doing, I can't. So Ryan has been one of the best supports, one of the best friends that I've ever had. As far as a mentor, yeah, I suppose so. I don't like that word. I don't like saying like, oh, this person. But yeah, I don't think I would have been as successful as I've been without him encouraging me, like telling me, yeah, you can do this. I believe in you. Like, oh, it's easy. So
yeah.
And yeah, just having that experience, like even like once you're past the breeding point, because like I said, I think they're all pretty much the same. If you can watch and understand snake behavior, they're pretty much all the same. But having that experience on the back end with the eggs and the babies and knowing what to do and little tricks, like with the Antaresia, oh my God, dude, if he hadn't told me some of the tricks he did, like just, take frozen thawed, pull its nose off, squeeze it a little bit, and they go nuts. Like, dude, if he hadn't told me that, the Amazon tree boa babies too. Like everyone's like, oh my God, they're so hard to get started. And dude, mine were started the first time I tried. So
really,
yeah. So I
can you share some of those tips?
Yeah, no, the biggest. Well, I don't know. He might. I mean, I don't know why not, but yeah. So the biggest.
Yeah, you don't want baby snakes dying out there, so right?
Thing, like I heard somebody. I heard you were talking to somebody the other day with the pygmy, and I think everyone's kind of, like they'll eat little geckos or skinks, but man, I've talked to a few people and they just said you're wasting your time. They're more likely to die trying to get them started on mice. Like you're more likely to kill them than anything. I've talked to people who have had their whole clutches die. Like you just have to
Wow.
force feed them. That was the advice I was given. Get a mouse tail or a rat tail and just assist feed them. Eventually they'll clamp down on the tail and then they'll start eating and then you can go from there. So, but
Wow.
dude, assist feeding in general sucks. I don't know if you've ever tried to assist feed a pinky mouse, but dude, it is a messy nightmare. But a tail, dude, is firm. It's hard. Like you just prop their mouth open, you just go boop, and then you're done. You set them back in their enclosure, you let them swallow it, like super easy, easiest thing you can imagine.
Mm.
And then, yeah, like I mentioned, with the Antaresia, with the tree boas, and with a lot of other species, I think this works too. Is not with a live mouse, but you have your frozen thawed pinky. You take the tweezers, you pull the end of its nose off, you squeeze its head a little bit till some of the goop comes out. And usually, if you hold that in front of their face and you just hold it really still, they'll smell that. And I don't know what it is, but it drives them nuts. They take one smell of it and all of a sudden they just smash it. So people
That is
sitting.
not for the faint of heart, though, man.
So,
Dismembering an animal's face.
well, I think that's why a lot of people don't do it. And yeah, I wouldn't do it with a live pinky. Like that's beyond my comfort level. But frozen thawed, it's already dead. Like it's not like you're hurting anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sounds grotesque. But this is part of the problem too. Is a lot of times experienced keepers can't. I couldn't go in a Facebook group and say that. Right. Because somebody's going to be really upset when they hear, oh, how dare you do that? That's you're mutilated, So this is part of the problem too, is we're trying to help newer keepers, but sometimes they're so adverse to what actually works, that's
Yeah.
where you kind of do get a barrier sometimes is experienced keepers don't want to help. They don't want to face the negativity that comes from it.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, and I'm sure that it only takes maybe 2 or 3 experiences of people saying, "How can you say to do that?" And
Well,
and
then you
then
stop bothering. You don't want to get into it. It's like you go
yeah,
into the situation trying to help, sharing something that for a fact works because you had to learn the hard way. You had to have animals die to find that out, and you picked up this trick, and you're trying to assist them, and then all of a sudden you're a bad guy for that. So
yeah. Well, and I want to try to breed my spotted pythons this
dude,
year.
they're
I think
super
I
fun.
might. Yeah, I'm scared though because of getting the babies started. Like that's my fear.
I will say, out of all the Antaresia, I think the spotteds have been the easiest because I've
That's
done.
why I chose them.
Yeah, so I've done all of them except the banded pygmies, which I think there's only like 2 people that have those, and I haven't done Western stems, but out of all of them, the spotteds have been the easiest to start. They're the most likely where you just take a pinky mouse and they grab and wrap it, like a minor amount of tease feeding. So
Okay, and are you doing live pinkies or frozen thawed?
I don't even with the Antaresia, I just do frozen. It's for whatever. Well, I had one this year. I'll go through with frozen. I do this with everything, like most newer things. I'm getting them started tease feeding. I'll go through with frozen. If they don't take it, I'll try live. But Antaresia, I have had very little success with live. I don't even bother. I'll
Really?
try it a couple times, and then they're more likely to take frozen or a frozen like left in there sitting than they are to take live, at least from my experience. Which, to be fair, it's not
Okay.
a ton. I've had the last 2 years. I think I've had 8 clutches of them, but that was the advice I was given too. So
Okay. And so do you think that my initial plan of just saying like, oh, screw it, I'm not even going to do rodents, I'm just going to breed morning geckos or something and throw a gecko in there with them. Do you think that's just a terrible idea?
no, I mean, so it's funny. So Tracy, my girlfriend, she breeds. She has a lot of micro gecko species, and so I just asked her with the pygmies because that was my thought. Is like, well, if she's already got the geckos, I might as well give it a shot, right? Like, why not? And she gave me a couple of Benoi geckos. I didn't realize they're like $80 a piece. So it was just like, hey, can I have a couple of your Benoi geckos? I just want to try. And then she told me afterwards, I was like, why did you give me those? Like, you fool. Um, but so I actually put a Benoi gecko in with my 2 pygmies. One of them actually did eat it, and one of them didn't care, couldn't care less. So I don't know. I'm sure if I kept trying, it probably would work. I don't really know a lot of people that have done that. But then the question is like, how long do you want to feed them geckos? And if you're reselling them, and they're now used to eating geckos. I'm sure at some point they'll switch, or you can do scenting and that sort of stuff. But I don't know, how much do you like morning geckos? I guess that's the real question.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you
So how long do you wait after their first shed to start feeding them? Do you do like the kind of like the Ryan where you wait them out? Like it seems like Ryan's like not in a hurry
oh yeah
to even try feeding. Like he really waits them out, and
yeah.
then and is that more successful, or do you think maybe it's less stressful for you as a keeper or breeder?
So I think it was really hard the first time I had them because I'm so used to ball pythons and boas where you throw a feeder in and they just take it. Like there's not a question. Like occasionally you'll have some that don't eat the first try, but almost all the time they do. So going from that and being used to that for years to all of a sudden having this species that doesn't want to eat immediately was really it was a big learning curve for me just mentally coming to terms with that. Um, Ryan will wait things out a little bit more. I usually like they'll shed. I'll wait a week and I'll go through an offer. But I mean, I've definitely taken his stance because what he told me, what I found is true. If they aren't eating, they can go a long time before they'll just keep looking great. They look totally fine. Nothing's wrong with them. I have my children's pythons hatched in March. We're in August right now. I have one that just ate its first meal like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it went from not eating at all to now it is the most phenomenal eater out of the whole group. The other ones are still like very hesitant. Like they'll take pinky mice every time, but they're very hesitant. Like you got to hold it and then they'll just like slowly grab it. And then you got to slowly back away and wait for them to take it. And this thing just smashes. So, and I still have one that hasn't eaten. Yeah, we're not 6 months, but 5 months out. It hasn't eaten. It looks fine. So I'm not stressed about it. If it starts to look bad, I might start looking at other options. I might assist feed, but I've definitely taken his standpoint of, they'll eat when they're ready to eat.
So you don't jump right to assist feeding. You wait them out. You're looking at more body composition, and that's when you judge that.
Well, the problem is once you start assist feeding, you have to keep doing it. Because once they eat for the first time, their metabolism kicks way up. And then if you assist feed them and then you start trying to wait them out, your clock is just accelerated. So if you wait and they're looking good and everything's fine and they're active and their body looks great, like I don't see a reason to be stressed about it. They're doing well. At a certain point you want to assist feed, but once you do that, now you're running. I just talked to Ryan Cancel with the ringed pythons because I have my first clutch of ringed pythons. I have those all going. They're all started. The second clutch, they haven't been started yet. And he said the same thing. He's like, dude, yeah, once they start eating, you got to keep feeding them. You can't let them go a week or two or they'll just crash. But he said once, like when they first hatch, he's like, they can go 2 months. It doesn't matter. Like it's only once they have that first meal, that clock starts ticking. Now you have to keep up on them. So I don't want to, if they're not ready to eat, I don't want to force it. I don't want to push it. And now I'm making more work for myself and, stressing that animal out. So
how many animals like on average per year do you end up assist feeding? And like, I would imagine that would make just the task of feeding like 100 or 200 babies that much more horrendous when you have to assist feed even 10 or 12 of them.
Yeah. So, I think last year I assist fed one snake or two snakes, and it was ball pythons of all things. Like they just, for whatever reason, they didn't want to start on their own. And so I just, at a certain point you give them one, usually you assist feed them once and then for whatever reason, you're like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to eat. And then they're good. But I didn't have anything else last year that I had to assist feed. This year, with the pig, I did assist feed last year with pygmy, but yeah, I didn't understand the mouse tail thing. I'm just going to be honest. I failed with the pygmies last year. I had one baby and I was told, feed them a mouse tail. I didn't realize they meant a piece of a mouse tail. I just heard mouse tail. So I assist fed a mouse tail. That is too much for a pygmy python. So I lost my one last year. But that's the only, and same thing this year. That's the only thing that I've assist fed. I have one ringed python that came out of the egg way too early. I took one look at it. I was like, this has to eat, and I assist fed it as soon as it, basically as soon as it had been out for a week. But otherwise, I really try not to, unless they look like they need to be assist fed. I'm not going to. So
it was born it hatched rather prematurely,
this is the first year I've hatched ring pythons, and I had 2 clutches of them. I was really nervous with the first one because the eggs, I missed I wasn't paying enough attention. The eggs were a little dehydrated when I got to them. So when I'm looking at them in the incubator, they did not look great. Like the eggs sink in a little bit when they get close to hatching. These things were like really sunk in, and I'm sitting there like, dude, I don't think these things are gonna make it. And it's ring pythons, like, this is a dream species for me. So I'm like panicking, freaking out. And so I went through and I'm like, I got to cut these eggs. I got to make sure they can get out of them. What I didn't know, because I didn't ask anyone, is ringed pythons, if you start messing with them, dude, they just fly out of the egg. So I went through, most of them had absorbed enough yolk, it was okay. But dude, they just freaked out. Like I cut, and then of course, like I'm so excited, like I'm opening it every 5 minutes, and then another one spooks and jumps out, and most of them like totally fine, they're good, they're eating great, but one of them, yeah, it just needed a couple days, and I spooked it, and it came out, and it was like not half the size of the other ones, but definitely smaller, and I just, as soon as I looked at it, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna have to help that one.
Wow.
So
how premature were they?
The rest of the clutch, everything was great. Like those were all fine. They, I think one of them pipped before I cut, but then I went through and cut the rest. So this was just one that, yeah, it probably needed to sit in the egg another day or two. Like nothing crazy, but.
What do you think that, what do you think of the eggs? Why do you think they got so rough looking? Like, what do you think caused that?
I mean, they started off, I incubated the 2 exactly the same. It was just because they started off, ringed pythons are really high humidity. I live in a very low humidity area. So I have to go through, like with my white lips, with my rings, even the ball pythons, I have to go through and dump water in their enclosures, like just constantly dumping water in to keep the humidity up. Yeah. And so I knew she was going to lay. I had the date marked and everything. Rings are also very high. They're just a high anxiety species in general. So I really didn't want, I knew she's gravid. I don't want to be opening the tub every 5 minutes and spooking her. I'm just trying to leave her be. And so, yeah, I waited until cleaning day. I was like, oh, she's probably going to lay soon. I'm going to be cleaning in a few days. I'll just wait then. But she had laid them. They had already been down for like 3 or 4 days. And they were just really desiccated. I felt them. There was one that I knew right out of the gate. It was too far gone. The rest of them, I felt like they still had some buoyancy to them. I was like, oh, they'll bounce back. But I really think that's all it was, is they just started off a little bit dry. They did rehydrate in the incubator, but I just think they had a bad start in general.
So. Yeah, I was last year. We did our summer vacation. We flew into Spokane, and coming to where you guys are at from Florida, dude. Like it was. I remember the one day it was, dude. It was like 104 degrees and like 12% humidity, and it just felt like a hair dryer. Like you couldn't. I remember coming out of a restaurant and standing under the overhang, and the walk to the car was unbearable. Like it's just insane how hot and dry it is there.
Okay, but then for us going to like Florida, because I like Florida weather, but man, it is a different kind. Like the humidity just smashes you like it's over.
I know, and I love it. I love it. I'm like, I feel like I'm like semi-aquatic now. After we did a vacation the year before that to Colorado. We were in a city or a town called Bailey, which is like way high elevation. I can't remember what it is, like 65, 8,500, something like that.
Yeah.
And I remember it snowed in June, which That
That's
was weird.
fun.
Yeah, and it might have even been a higher elevation, but it snowed in June, which was super cool, right? Especially coming from Florida in
Oh
June.
yeah, for sure.
And we're like, but we had to run the heat in the Airbnb, and we had like masks, like hoodies wrapped around our faces to
Oh
try to
my
hold the humidity in, because like we're like all chapped and bleeding from the nose and mouth.
It is really nice when I go, like when I visited Texas or Florida, like my skin is so nice. It's like, oh, I'm so moisturized. Like it's because I'm not used to it. My body's used to the super just always dry. So, but
It's
yeah, it's tough
bananas.
with some of the reptile species here. That is definitely the biggest struggle I have. Not having a facility is keeping my humidity levels correct, especially with stuff like rings and white lips.
How do you do it? I mean, how do you do it even for like your adult animals, like ball pythons? I've had ball pythons have shedding issues here in Florida,
Yeah.
so like, how do you do it with the humidity you're dealing with there?
So every week, I go through and clean every week, and I just basically I have their water dish. I dump it in the substrate. I just try and spread it out in the whole back of the substrate on their heat. So every single week they're getting a big humidity spike. If I know they're going in a shed, I'll just dump extra water in. But that's how I've been able to mitigate it. I don't think I could keep. I used to keep on paper, and that was a real struggle. Like you just had to watch for sheds basically, and I don't think they were doing. I don't think that's an appropriate setup. I don't like that in general, but especially in areas like this where you have humidity issues, you really just have to go with substrate. That way you at least have a vector to hold that water, hold the humidity in there. So
Why do you like substrate over paper?
there's a few. I mean, I feel like it's better. When I started off, I did really minimalistic setups, which I think a lot of ball python keepers do. You use paper, you just have a water bowl in there, and that's it. And you keep them in as small a tubs as possible, right? I still see people, they're breeding their ball pythons in 55, 40 tubs. They're just, the snake is pressing against both sides of the tub. And as I've been doing this longer, that sort of thing bothers me a little bit more. So I do CB70s. They've got plenty of space. I put a fake plant in there, and I'm not the pinnacle of great keeping either, right? Like I could do more, but I do at least try to give them something other than a bare tub. So I'm putting, I have cork bark fake plants. I have their water dish. I just feel like the substrate is better. I don't know. I feel like it helps with shedding. I feel like, again, it helps with humidity. And in general, I like the idea that it's not just a plastic tub that the snake's sitting in. And that might be more for me too. Like it might just make me feel better. They might not care. I don't know.
Well, I mean, so, you can see my enclosures. So
Yeah.
You probably know, how I feel. I like giving I like seeing my snakes. I like giving my snakes things to interact with. That's basically, sort of the entire reason I keep snakes is to observe their behavior
And
because
enjoy
I love
them.
snakes. Yeah, exactly. Right. So, yeah, seeing them in like really Spartan enclosures that are, that have nothing in them.
Yeah.
Is it ethical? Do they get more enjoyment out of an environment that is enriched in some way, shape, or form? Like, I don't know. You can't talk to them.
Right. I would say, like, just from observation, with some of the species, I genuinely just think they look better. They look healthier. Like I know when I upgraded my water pythons, my lace is God, I'm blanking right now.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
Anyway, the Australian water pythons. Fuscus, Lysis fuscus.
Yeah.
When I upgraded them and I put a bunch of cork bark and plants and stuff in there, they started to look like fantastic. Like their color looked better, their skin looked better. And I was just like, okay, this seems like, I don't know whether they care or not, but they sure look better. So I really do think, like, I've been shifting way more towards that. Like, I know people breed Amazon tree boas in tubs. I know you can do it. The animals look fine health-wise, but I've started doing them in more arboreal setups. I've been to people who, have enclosures like yours with their Amazon tree boas, and I just think they look better. They look like they're more active. I think it's better for the animal. And again, shouldn't the point be that we're enjoying them? that we're actually being able to see them and observe them, and not just shoved in a box. And it's hard, right? Because from a breeding standpoint, there are constraints. You can't do everything in a huge elaborate setup if you want to run a business, which a lot of breeders, that's the goal. So there is a balance that you have to strike, but I don't think that the extreme of minimalism is the correct path. So.
Yeah, and I also don't think that the extreme of saying that no animal should ever be kept in a rack or tub is right either, because at the end of the day, in my opinion, at the end of the day, we're keeping a snake in a plastic box regardless.
Right.
So you can do like what you're doing and take that plastic box that fits into something that is easier for you to maintain and upkeep. But you can put all of the same elements that would be in just a different style of plastic box.
Yeah.
That for me, it's space is a huge constraint, because I've elected to have more animals on display. If I have friends or family that come over, I want them to go, holy crap, that looks incredible. But that's my goal, right? My goal is not to produce ever 150 animals in a year, right?
Yeah, you don't want to, trust me.
Yeah.
It sounds cool until you're cleaning and feeding them all. But no, I think I will say I something that really bugs me though, that's been the last few years has been getting pushed really hard, is encouraging brand new keepers, because it's like you said, like it's good to have this space, but there's a place for the racks also. And when you're working with a baby, especially like baby Antaresia, you can't take a baby Antaresia and throw it in a 4x2 and get it started. Like you're screwed. That thing's going to die. I've had 2 issues. So I just gave someone bought like 20 ball pythons from me, got them home. She said she's just super happy. She's like, every single one ate, no problem. And it's like, yeah, I knew they would. You're setting them up. She's got them in tubs. Like they're all good. And then I have 2 people that bought ball pythons from me, same age, super established. They were just crushing it for me. Took them home, put them in a big enclosure, and they aren't eating. And it's been a month, and it's like, well, I really don't like this push for new keepers, telling them, oh yeah, you need to put your baby in a 4x2, and you need to do all these enrichment things. A newer keeper doesn't have the experience to troubleshoot a large enclosure. They just don't. You're adding in too many elements. You're adding in too many variables. There's too many things to keep track of. It is much easier to monitor a small enclosure, make sure it's dialed in, make sure the animal's eating right, and then you can transition up into something more elaborate. But I really think a lot of new keepers are getting kind of a raw deal, because it sounds great, right? Like, yeah, let's give them all these things, not realizing it's stressing them out. That it's too much. They don't have the means to understand, like, okay, my heat on this side is way too high. It's too cold on this side. And then I get put in a situation where I have to tell them, like, look, I know you mean well, but you have to put that in a smaller enclosure.
Yeah. And it's also, I think such a huge part of it is managing that space, is that, like, and I really want to capitalize on what you just said there about, it's not like you're saying a ball python should never be in a 4x2.
Yeah, not at all. No, not
it's,
at all.
And I had a ball python that I started her out in a small enclosure, and then eventually she was in a 4x2x2.
Yeah.
And she would literally charge out the front door of that enclosure to get a rat from me. Right.
Yeah.
Like she was so food driven.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, but it was that, it's that patience and not rushing right to the biggest thing possible, which can cause a species like that a lot of stress. And I think it's such a nuanced thing all around, right? Like at the end of the day, we are keeping things in plastic boxes, whether it's one type or the other. And like, like a lot of your tubs have the window in the front, like, and so it's, yeah, it's a hotly debated topic, and maybe that's good. Maybe it causes growth and it causes people to have, realize the nuance on both sides. But yeah, I mean, putting an Antaresia in a 4x2x2, it's going to be out the next day.
Well, yeah,
that animal's gone now.
And if it's not really well established, it's probably not going to eat for that person. And it's just, I think that we really do have two extremes that need to come together at some point, where breeders like really need to admit we're probably a little bit too far on the minimalist spectrum. And a lot of newer keepers, maybe we don't push them to do the most advanced bioactive setup right out of the gate. Like, maybe let's meet in the middle where you do give them some space, but not so much that it's overwhelming. And as you said, like, you transition up. Like, that's the whole point, is you move with the animal. I do that with like, even my breeder animals, they move up in space as they need it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nick, I had Nick Button on, and I remember he said, like, when you get a baby, you keep the baby in a bassinet. You don't put it in a bedroom and just walk away. Like,
no, that's actually a perfect analogy. Like, it really is.
Yeah, like you slowly, it goes from a bassinet into a crib, and then from a crib, it gets, and then, you slowly expand the range that it has. I mean, like my spotted pythons that I got from Ryan and from you, I was like, I wonder if these guys can go in an enclosure yet, right? Like, they're slamming food, I see them like exploring their tub, in my room here. And, but I put them up to one of the enclosures, and I put them up to that gap where the doors overlap. And they're like, look, I can go right through, and they'll go inside the cage and show me that they can just go right through that crack. And that crack is like, you can't even fit the tip of your finger in there.
Yep.
So it's like, I've lost children's pythons. When I used to keep snakes back in like 2011, 2012, I lost 2 children's pythons, because I was keeping in aquariums with screen lids and all that. And you get them from a show and you're like, yeah, I'll keep it in a 10 gallon. This will be perfect. Mm-hmm. And it finds a way out. And now it's like, all right, now my children's python is dead.
Even with I had a rack that I had set my children's in to get them started. And I didn't realize in the back of the rack, there was like this much of a gap right in the very back that I couldn't see. And sure enough, I woke up the next morning. I was like, I'm missing 3 children's pythons. That's not great. And I had to put a sticker on that row. Like, okay, I did not, but you don't realize there's this tiny little gap, and this snake just finds it and they go through. So even with a rack system, that's a possibility. You have to, I know Ryan, he has pieces of cardboard that he wedges under his tubs to make it so that they're just pressed as tight as possible against the top, because he had to learn the hard way too.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, they are such tiny little pythons.
Yeah.
That's wild. What about white lips? You've reproduced white lips?
No. So that's the one species that I have been just struggling with. And I don't know what it is. The last 2 years. So my female wasn't ready until 2 or 3 years ago. She was long-term captive when I got her. She's nasty. She is not a nice snake. And then I have a male that I got from Ryan, actually, and have raised from a baby. And he's super chill. He's as easy as can be. They've locked. She has gone through the full process of building. I've watched everything happen. I've had her refuse food. And then the last 2 years, both years, I swear, I'm like, okay, she's going to go, sweet. And then all of a sudden she's reabsorbing and she starts eating again. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong with those. That's the one that I can't figure out for whatever reason. I'm just going to keep trying. I know a lot of people, when stuff like that happens, they really like to blame the female, or they like to blame the male. They don't want to admit, like, I'm probably doing something wrong. I just don't know what it is yet. And it weirds, like, they're the only ones I just can't seem to dial in. But I'm gonna
maybe you need like a gatekeeper to like tell you that you just can't do it.
It's impossible. Yeah. That'll help for sure. But no, that's what's frustrating too. Is I'm talking to Ryan. He's like, they're not super difficult, man. I don't know, but so yeah, I don't know what it is. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, sorry you're too poor to reproduce white lip pythons.
That must be what it is. Yeah. God.
Dude, I wish I had that picture of you with the. I love that picture so much.
Oh, we thought that was hilarious. I was so proud of that. It randomly popped in my head. I was like, Trace, you got to help me do something. This is going to be great.
Yeah, it's And you know, it's funny, like when you were talking about that, like I've heard people talk about ultrasounds on podcasts, and I'm like, am I going to need one of those? Like
Dude,
if I want to reproduce my Argentine boas, you know, cause I plan on ending up with 2.2 Argentine boas.
yeah.
And I'm like, if I want to reproduce them, am I going to need that? Do I have to invest in that? How do I even use it? Like you
Right.
know, like I have no training with an ultrasound,
Right.
you know, like how do I run that equipment?
So here's where I think that ultrasounding, I think it's a useful tool. Like if you are just wondering what is going on with my snakes and you want to understand the steps as they're happening, I think that it's phenomenal. Like it's super cool. Is you can look at her and be like, okay, she looks like she's building, but I'm going to ultrasound and see what's actually happening. That would be really neat. But I think people are relying on it and they think that it's some magic solution. They think that they just need to ultrasound and then they're going to do well. And from what I've talked to a ton of people who ultrasound and they do not have very much success. Like even with ball pythons, I've talked to people, they ultrasound everything and be like, oh yeah, you know, I might get 6 clutches this year, and they've got 200 females. I've talked to people that are considered like pretty successful ball python breeders, and they're like, oh yeah, last year only 20% of my girls went. And I'm just sitting here like, man, that's bad. Like that's really bad. And I think what they're doing is they're not doing any active steps to get the females to cycle. They're just sitting there and ultrasounding and saying, okay, this female's cycling, so I'm going to pair her. This female's not cycling, so I'm not going to pair her. Rather than saying, okay, as a breeder, as someone who's trying to breed them and trying to encourage them to breed, I'm going to temperature cycle. I am going to food cycle. I am going to take steps. Even if she's not building yet, I'm going to put a male in because maybe that helps with follicular development. I'm going to actively breed and do things, not just use this machine that tells me, yes, pair. No, don't pair. And I think if that's as far as you're going, is just you're just ultrasounding, you are not going to be successful. But the fact that they're pushing it so hard and they're telling people that's how to be successful, I think is wrong. And I think it's setting people up for failure.
So yeah, I mean, so it sounds like you are dialed into your animals. You're using environmental cues to get them to start to develop follicles. And so hearing you and seeing your success and knowing that you're keeping in a spare bedroom is such a
well, some are in my main bedroom. They're right next to my bed. It just is what it is. So yeah, no, it gets hot at night sometimes. So
well, so what are your temperatures at night?
So right now, like 80. My ambient's 80, dude. I sleep in the heat.
Oh my God, dude. I can't do that.
Yeah, no, you get used to it. I mean, we just got a bunch of fans running. It is what it is, but it's just where I'm set up. Like I don't have a facility. I'm not in that position. So, but yeah, so during summer, I let it get hot. I'm really fortunate where I live. It gets really hot in the summer. It gets really cold in the winter. And whether I want to cycle or not, I'm getting some amount of ambient cycling. So I have, during summer, sometimes it's up to 84, 85 ambient in the day. And then in winter, it'll drop down. I think sometimes it gets as low as 72. So I have the natural seasonal cycles that I watch. And then I'm also, I just had somebody ask me last night. It's weird. Like they're the first person who's ever asked me, what are you doing to get so many ball pythons to go? And I just have kind of this cheat sheet. It's like, I think it starts in September, October. I start dropping temps 2 degrees every week. Every week I drop my hotspot another 2 degrees. During the day, I bring temps back up. So in winter, my hotspot at night will be 80 degrees and my ambient will be 72. That's pretty much across the board. Boas, I go a little lower. Some of the like rainbow boas, I go lower. I'm trying to think of what other cooler species I have. But yeah, so it depends on the species a little bit, but that's the general rule that I follow. So it is to some extent a recipe, but I'm also watching and like if I know something, like I said, the boas, as soon as I see them ovulate, then I bump their heat back up. So I'm just watching. I think part of it makes it easier too is that they are in my bedroom, so I can wake up and look at them. If I think a female is going to ovulate, every morning I wake up, I walk over, open the tub, like, oh yeah, she's going today. So in that sense, it does make it a little easier. But yeah, I do pretty dramatic temperature swings.
Yeah, I'm gonna fail as a breeder. I'm never gonna succeed. Like because my house is 72 degrees at night, so I'm like
Yeah.
there. Like I'm not now. It'll go down to probably 68 during the winter.
Yeah.
But yeah, my wife would not allow anything above 72. She wants to be cold at night.
Well, it depends on the species you have too. Like I think Amazons would probably do really well with that. Boas in general would do well with that. But yeah, I'm very, like I said, Ryan has a facility. Like he has full blown temp swings that he's watching for all of his animals. I'm doing it in a room, but I'm monitoring that room. So like at night, I'll close the door to that spare bedroom to make sure that the heat doesn't drop too much in the summer. In the winter, I'm leaving that door wide open so that I know temps are dropping how they should. Um, so I am taking steps like with the AC, the central air vents, like I'll open or close them certain amounts so that specific room where animals are at is getting warmer or cooler, depending on what I want. So
Okay.
I do think that I think it's the easy thing. Usually doing the least amount of work does not result in the most success. So I think the more effort that you put in and the more, I just bought some Govee Bluetooth sensors so that I can watch, how the temperatures are fluctuating throughout the day. And I can kind of say, okay, this looks like it's getting too warmer, or okay, I should probably drop this a little more. And just paying a little bit of attention.
Yeah, I mean, I let it get pretty hot in my house. Like this room I'm sitting in right now, it gets like during the day, during summer, it's like 80, probably like 82, and I have my AC set to like 79, but this room, I have the AC vent closed a little bit, the door is shut, kind of like you said.
Yep.
So it does get warmer in here, but then I've got animals out in my formal dining area as well. So they're more of my Australian species. So I let them get a little bit cooler at night where it stays a little bit warmer in here. With like, I have my Timor pythons in here, my Argentines and my imperators, or imperators, however you want to say it. So yeah, I'm really, I sit there and I'm like, I'm never going to be successful unless I get a facility, right?
I don't think you have to. I really think it's just paying attention. I do think that it is hard just having them in a room and trying to temp cycle. It makes it harder for sure. But I still think, like when I lived in Reno, when I lived in Nevada 10 years ago, I still got clutches from stuff. And I had them in a kitchen. I wasn't monitoring ambience. I wasn't doing anything really active. And I still got clutches. I didn't do great, but I did okay. And I think an average person, like just putting stuff together, you can have some amount of success. It's just if you really want to dial in and you really want to blow it out, I do think that you do have to start really focusing and keeping things a little more dialed in and being more mindful. But I don't think it's required.
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking with MJ about this yesterday about like it wanting to convert my garage, because then I could have a mini split just for my garage and just run the garage and fully control the temperatures throughout the year and still, capitalize on what's happening outside, that it's really hot during the summer and it's cooler during the winter. And
we just did that this year. And I don't know why I didn't think of it, but when Tracy moved up here with her animals, like I didn't have anywhere to put them. Mine are already like everywhere. And so she's like, well, I'm going to use the garage. And in my head, I'm like, it gets so cold in the winter. There's no way to do that. But then we set up a thermostat with like an oil heater and fans, and dude, it works amazing. Like it's great. And yeah, like you said, you still get those seasonal shifts. But then you can control it better. You have this whole space that's all it's being used for is the reptiles. And it's been working fantastic. So I wish I'd have thought of it before she came up here. I wish I'd have done it and not had them in the bedroom, but here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost think like maybe I just need to get a shed and take everything that's in my garage and put it in the shed and just make the garage a
it works really well. It's actually really nice. And if you have an insulated door, like you really don't need to do much. We just like I said, we have fans going and we have the oil heater for when it gets too cold, and it just kicks on once the temps hit a certain level. So So that
Yeah, I
works
keep
really well.
and I've got a trio of diamond pythons outside, so I'm hoping that will be more successful, right? Because right
You're
now
going to
they're
have to
in.
drop them. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's perfect because wintertime in Florida, you're still getting down to the 50s at night,
Mm-hmm.
so hopefully that'll be hopefully I'll get some success there.
Well,
We'll
I think
see.
something, you bring up this other species, recognizing that they need to be cooler. I think one of the things I struggled with when I was starting is trying to keep all of these species that have different temperatures, trying to keep them the same. And at a certain point, you have to acknowledge that different species from different regions have different requirements. You can't set them all up exactly the same. You can't cool them all exactly the same. You have to do things a little bit differently for them. Like
Mhm.
species, I think Nick has mentioned breadlie. Like I haven't bred them, but he said, yeah, you have to drop them really low. And yeah, like
Like
the Boas,
really low, right? Like
from what
into the
I've heard, yeah. And I'm sure there's people that have had success not doing super hard drops, but probably far less than who have actually done the drops.
Mm.
And I think there's things like that in general with species, like the olive pythons. Um, like I'm very grateful to Nick Mutton because I used to go to expos with him and I'd just hear him ranting. But everyone just wants to buy a female. They just want to buy a female. They don't realize you have to have two males to combat them. And I didn't have olives at the time, but like I'm so thankful because when I had my olives, they didn't want to breed, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember Nick ranting about this. I'm gonna go get another male. And so just there are different things you need to do with different species and be mindful of.
What do you think you're
Outside of
missing with the white lips? What do you think it is? What do you
I
think it
don't
could be?
know. I don't know if maybe my hide that I'm providing isn't great. Dude, she's done all of the things like twice now. I have because I know when a female's gonna go. Like I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but I can look at a female, I'm like, she's gonna go. And twice now I've done that with her and then she hasn't. And I'm just like, I
Mm.
do not understand. And the only thing I think is maybe I'm not providing, maybe she needs a bunch of sphagnum thrown into a hide. Um, I don't know. I really need to sit down and just kind of mull over like where's the step in this process where things are going wrong. And it could be, I hate to say this, it could just be the female. Something is off and she's not viable, but I hate when people do that because you're not taking responsibility. But it is possible, right? It is possible. I just have a female that has a reproductive pro. God, I hate that I'm saying that out loud. I really do. It drives me nuts, dude. Because the number of times I've heard of people like, "Oh, my female's a dud," and then like I got females last year. I got like 10 females that they're like, these females have never gone for me. They're just duds. And every single one of them, the first year I had them, had a clutch. I got rainbow boas from someone who had them for 12 years, never had a litter for them. The first year I had them, they both have litters. So that's where I hate when people say that, like, oh, I think they're just not good. Because I don't think that's what it is, but it's not impossible. Humans have the same thing. Like some people are just, you're not fertile, like you can't produce eggs. Like it's a thing, but I don't like that as an answer or an excuse because it is an excuse a
Yeah.
lot of times.
Maybe it's
So
too many microplastics in our water or something.
it might be. I don't know. I will say I got the rings. The ring pythons and white-lipped pythons are very similar. And I did my rings in my bedroom, and I tried to do the white lips in the other room. So maybe there's something different with the temperature cycles that are happening, and it's just a little bit of difference. And maybe that's what the key is. I don't know for sure, but
Hmm.
I'm going to try to do something a little different this year, and we'll see. I think I'm going to keep it
How
a little bit
long?
cooler.
How many times did you try the rings before you had success with them? Was
Just
it
just one.
this was your first time and you got two clutches?
Yeah. Well, so last year so my first experience with ring pythons was like 12 years ago. I went and was managing a collection for a guy in Florida, and it's kind of funny. Like, this is what really got me into rings. Was I walk into this room and he's showing me his collection and showing me all this stuff, and we get to this rack, and he's like, "Don't open these tubs." He's like, "Before you open them, here," and he pulls out. I'm not joking. He pulls out a full face shield, and then he has leather, like leather arm guards, like full arm leather guards. And I'm just like, what? Like, do you have something venomous? Because I'm not opening this if it's venomous. He's like, no, you'll see. And we opened up, it's a ring python. I'm just like, dude, are you kidding me? But like, they're kind of like, they're very high anxiety. They're very defensive. But I worked with them for a few months. They chilled out. They got used to me. Like, I would go in and change their water, clean them. They didn't care. Like, it was super cool. And so that's what kind of got me interested in them to begin with. But
where was this, in Florida?
So it was Fort Lauderdale. This guy had this massive collection, like dream species for most people. He had like 10 Eastern indigos. He had 4.4 adult Texas indigos. He had Musarana. He had like a bunch of different carpets, rings, boas, like adult blackheads. Dude, just a lot of nice stuff. And he was just some guy. He had a lot of money and he thought all these things were cool, got them all, and then was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no clue what's going on.
Wow.
And just happened to connect with me and said, I want someone to manage this, and brought me over. So.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
But, yeah, well, and I had no experience. I don't know what he was thinking, because at the time I'd been breeding ball pythons for like 3 years. Like, I don't know what this stuff is, but I got a lot of experience that way. Like, it was kind of crazy that I got experience with so many different things so early on, because a lot of people don't, I couldn't have afforded this stuff. It was like a $250,000 collection. Like, there's no way I could ever I still couldn't have that level of collection. So
did that kind of help you figure out what you wanted to keep, like, long term?
I mean, with the ring, that was what got me into the ringed pythons for sure. I just thought they were the most fantastic thing ever. I realized I hate colubrids. I just cannot stand them. I still have
Why?
I still have a pair of false water cobras. I love them. I have eggs right now that are due to hatch soon. They're beautiful animals. They're super fun to interact with, but God, they're so messy. They're so messy. They stink, most of them. Like, their poop stinks. Like, you just have to be really up on cleaning. You've got to be really up on feeding. They eat a lot, and they're just squirmy, dude. I don't like squirmy snakes. I either like snakes that I know are super defensive and I just enjoy looking at them, or I want snakes I can handle and like they're cool, and I don't like messy, nasty, stinky snakes. It's not my thing. So
that's what's keeping me from getting a colubrid. It's like, I like, there's something like I really want an indigo, right? Like, I'm like, man, that would be so cool to get an indigo. And then
they're very cool.
And then you see like how much they eat though, and how much they poop. And like, I have a friend with a Crebo, and he sent me a video once of it peeing and pooping, and it was just like diarrhea everywhere. Yeah. And I'm like, why would I want that? You're trying to convince me to get colubrids, and then you send me this video, and it's horrible.
Well, not just that, but then you have to feed them. Like, my falsies, I have to feed them like 5 weaned rats. And my falsies are not these, big, obese animals. Like, they're nice, healthy, thin, lean animals. And I'm still feeding them 5 weaned rats, in a sitting. It's like, dude, if you're buying rodents, you're going to go broke. I'm sorry. Like, you can't afford to do that. I think some of the smaller ones are fine, right? Because you're just feeding them mice. It's not a big deal. But yeah, like I worked with some yellowtail Crebos in a guy's collection. Same thing. Like, you're feeding them 6-8 feeders at a time, and they're just nasty. They just crap everywhere, and it's just like diarrhea poop. Like, dude, like, gloves are fine, but it's not my jam.
Yeah, and especially if you're keeping on substrate, like, that you're going to have to clean out like a huge area around that because of the fluid. Yeah.
So it's just it's not for me. I understand there's a lot of people that like them. Good for them. Everyone has things they do and don't like. I found out I really don't like womas. I don't like blackheads. I don't know why. They're cool snakes. I think they're beautiful, but I've owned them a couple. I haven't owned blackheads other than when I worked them in Florida, but I've had womas a couple different times, and every time I'm just like, these aren't for me. They're just not.
What is it about them that
I don't know? That's what I don't understand. Like, it's just something. They're pretty. They just don't do it for me. There's just something about them, and just like, I'm very indifferent.
They're too colubrid like.
Maybe that's it, because they like to dig, and like, I don't know, man. There's certain species I've really tried to convince myself I like, and I just don't. So
yeah, I've had false water cobras before. and I remember the messiness and just being like blown away by the metabolism that they have. And
it's nuts.
Yeah, and just being like, man, I constantly have to feed you, you
Yeah.
know, whereas with a boa, it's like, geez, I fed you 3 weeks ago and you look pretty obese, you know,
Yeah,
like I think I
right.
need to cut you back a little bit,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, boas and blood pythons, once a month you're good. Like you wouldn't even know. But yeah,
Yeah.
dude, especially when the falsies are building, like, dude, if I walk in the room and that female sees me for a second, she's just pacing back and forth. Like, she's just like, what do you have? What do you have? What do you have? Like, so yeah, yeah.
I think the only colubrid I'm gonna get would just be a black milk snake because I just love them. They're so cool. But I would never want to breed them. I think I'd just get one as a pet, just as like.
What about like a rhino rat or a Thai bamboo? Because the bamboo rats I think are super neat. I wish I liked colubrids because I think they're just such cool snakes.
I don't know what it is about the black milks. Maybe it's that I've had one before and I love that they start out tricolor. I think it's so cool.
And slowly shift.
Yeah, they change, but then like on their bellies, they still have the banding, which is kind of neat. And, you know, and from my memory of them, like they're kind of laid back. You know, like when I had it previously, I remember it just being very laid back. Didn't seem like it had a crazy fast metabolism too. So maybe it's just like all those things just make it more attractive, more appealing to me, you know?
Yeah, I worked with a guy's collection. He got deployed. I worked with his collection for about a year or six months, but he had a ton of colubrids. And yeah, the black milks were super cool. Like those were actually, I didn't mind those as much, but like he had a bunch of bull snakes and dude, I can't stand, like, I think bull snakes are the coolest looking colubrid. Like if I were going to own one and I never had to clean it or feed it, I would get bull snakes. If I could just look at them, that would be like my top pick. But man, they're just nasty. And yeah, like I thought the bamboo rats are cool. I thought the musarana were cool. And yeah, the black milks are super cool too. I actually really liked the yellowtail cribos.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's just so much.
Talk about a mess.
So mess, and it's not my thing. So.
Yeah. So what was it about the bulls you didn't like? Just the
Dude,
mess?
Out of all the colubrids, their poop I think smells by far the worst. Like it is a pungent odor. I don't know how to describe it. And it could have just been what I was feeding them. I don't remember if I was giving them birds. But yeah, dude, that was pretty much it. And I think maybe they were in tubs that they probably should have been in a little bit bigger tubs. Maybe I would have liked them more if they had more space and they were cruising around. But yeah, I don't know. Looking at them though, I just love how their head looks. They look like they're angry. They look like they want to hurt you, but they're actually like pretty chill for the most part. Like they're active, but they aren't trying to hurt.
Would you ever keep any venomous species?
No, God, no. I mean, like I have rear fang, you know, I have the falsies, but dude, no, I have been bit too many times by too many things. Like no matter how careful I think I'm going to be, there is going to be a point where I'm just not paying attention and I'm tired and I'm just like, I'm just going to change its water really quick. Because I've heard stories of people doing that where they're just, oh, look, it's got a dirty water. I'm just going to reach in and grab it. And then they get bit. So no, absolutely not. I don't even like being in a room where I know someone has one. I don't even want to be in there. It freaks me.
What about herping? Do you like going out and herping?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like but I'm still terrified of rattlesnakes. Like we go out, there's a couple of spots we go to where basically you're finding gophers, rattlesnakes, ringnecks, sharp tails. But yeah, every time we find a rattlesnake, I'm the dude that's like, nope, you guys mess with it. I'm just going to stay here. So I like finding them. I think they're cool to observe, but man, I don't want to hook it. I don't want to do anything.
Yeah. Well, so I was just on vacation up in Georgia and we went on this trail and I brought my 40-inch hook and I'm like, I'm hoping that we'll see a copperhead, you know, like I'm not going to really dig around and look. Right. And I did look around in some spots because it was like rocks sticking off like the side of the trail. Yeah. And it was really dark in the center. And I'm like, okay, this is prime habitat, right? Like we're hiking down to a waterfall. And so like, it's cooler. It's really humid. there's, like, this is perfect. This is the perfect environment. And sure enough, we're on our way back, and my friend up ahead yells, copperhead. And
Nice.
there's this, and it was so awesome, dude. And I hooked it and I got it out into the middle of the trail and shot a little video. And after I stopped recording, my buddy's like, dude, you're in a really bad spot. You can't back up anymore. Like this snake is coming towards you. You have the hook, you're busy recording it. And it's like a 20-foot drop behind you,
Oh god.
Down to the waterfall. And like, you're not even paying attention to that. And yeah, maybe that was an oversight on my part. I felt, but I felt maybe more confident than I should have been because I had the hook, and it was in the video. It looks close to me, but it was pretty far away, and I was zoomed in a little bit, and yeah, but
I think the funniest experience I had with that was I went out with Ryan. He took me to this spot. He's like, oh yeah, there's always rattlesnakes out here. Cause I hadn't found one at the time. He's like, oh, I'm going to take you to this spot. We'll find them for sure. And I'm looking through the rocks like you're describing, there's these crags, and I'm looking in the crags, and I'm like trying to peek, and I'm trying to find one. And he's like, yeah, so don't move. I was like, he's like, yeah, no, there's two right underneath you, and then there's another one to your right there.
Oh.
Like, dude. And I'm just like frozen, right? Just like, what do you mean under me? Like, so yeah, I that was my first rattlesnake experience, and it was fine, but he's like, yeah, you need to open your snake eyes, man. Like, you gotta.
How close were they to you? Like,
I think
were they really
like
under you?
Like right next to. I mean, we've had some close calls. Like, we've done road cruising and hopped out of the car and don't realize there's one like right next to the door.
Wow.
But I mean, in that instance, I think, it was a couple feet. Like, it wasn't, we went out with a guy too, and he stepped somewhere and then heard the rattle. And it's like, woof, and jumped way back. So we've had a couple of, but I mean, in most cases, they're not trying to get you. They're just trying to let you know, leave me alone. So
yeah, it is pretty wild. Like, the more experiences I've had with vipers, they're so chill. Like, they're very laid back. It's not like they're out to get humans.
Yeah.
And
no, the ones we found on the road, it's really like they're just trying to get away. Like, they just want to book it as fast as they can. Like, we just hope they sit still long enough we can get a picture, or we hope that they'll actually posture and rattle so we can get a cool picture. But most of the times, they're just trying to get off.
Yeah, that's what the copperhead was doing. It was like, dude, just let me go.
Yeah,
like, I just want to go.
Yeah.
Like, no, it never coiled up. Like, I was trying to get it into a cool position where I could take a picture. Yeah. And it's just like, dude, just let me go into this leaf litter over here.
Yep.
And it is wild. Like, their ability to camouflage, like, once they're on the leaves, you're like, oh my God, that is like absolute perfection for camouflage.
Yep.
Just totally perfect.
It always cracks me up when people post those pictures and they're like, find the copperhead. I'm like, oh, I'm dead.
I know, it's wild because, I mean, well, that's like you said, like, how many times are you looking for a snake and thinking like, this should be perfect, and they're actually sitting right there, and you just don't
even see them. Yeah.
Oh man, good thing you had Ryan with you.
Yeah, right. Well, but then there's other snakes that just kind of blow your mind. Like, there's a Washington king snake, like the red, black, and white.
Mm.
And they're in this very small region in Washington, and we've been out like 10 times to find these things. And you're looking at the environment, and it's like black rocks, or like gray rocks, brown leaves. It's like, dude, these things should stand out like a sore thumb. And like, trying to find them is so difficult. Like, when you do, they really do just like, why are these things even here? Like, how are they camouflaging? And then other things like, the rattlesnakes, where I walked right over them and didn't even had no idea. So,
dude, next time I'm out that way, because we have family out there, we got to go herping.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to go out with Ryan and Nick, but it was like, you're there on a family vacation, and it's like, well, I got to do this and that, and I don't have a car and all this stuff, but. No, next time it's happening for sure. Like, well,
Ryan's the man to talk. Ryan knows, like, he's the one who's put me onto all of the spots I've been. Like, he's the guy. He's just like, nice. Oh yeah, we go to this spot at this time. Yeah, the weather. Let me check the barometric pressure and what's the moon cycle. Like, okay, yeah, no, this is perfect. We're gonna find a ton of photos. I'm just like, okay, dude, I believe you. Like, it's funny. Like, he looks at all of these conditions, like just the perfect conditions, the time of day. Like, okay, yeah, now in this month of this. So, but he's the
Wow.
man. Like, he knows where stuff's at, and I think a lot of that comes from Casey Lazick too. Like, because he's out here. Ryan and him are good friends. I've hung out with gone herping with Casey a few times too, and he's the
Wow.
man. Like, he just knows where stuff's at. Like, he's really big on that.
Man, talk about hanging out with a legend. Jeez.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I met him probably half a dozen times and didn't know who he was. Like, he would just come to the expos and I'd be vending, and I just had my snakes out, and he'd come up and he'd chat to me, and he'd be like, "Oh, you got some really nice looking snakes." Like, "Oh, that's a really cool snake you got." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that." And like, he introduced himself one time. He's like, "Oh, I'm Casey." I'm like, "Nice to meet you, Casey." And and it wasn't until like 5 years later or something, somebody's like, "You realize that's Casey Lazick?" And I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Wow.
So it was just kind of funny. Like, I just met him. He was just a super nice dude. He's super cool, super knowledgeable, and yeah, I ended up hanging out with him a little bit with Ryan. And no, he's a super nice guy. Like, really,
What
really
a
nice,
legend.
really knowledgeable.
Yeah. Jeez. So I wanna talk a little bit about your boas.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's so often, people either own one or the other. They either have boas or they have pythons, and it seems
Yeah.
like you kind of have an equal love for both. I mean,
Yeah.
like, obviously you have a lot more pythons, but what are the boas you keep?
So I recently, so the last couple of years, I've bred the Amazon tree boas. I've bred the rainbow boas. I bred just normal boa imperator. I
Like
bred
localities?
So I actually, I'm ashamed to admit it. I have a mutt. I have a
Okay.
BCBI cross.
Oh, wow.
But she's beautiful, dude. She's got this beautiful tail stripe, and I was just like, I can't get rid of her. She's so. I actually took a picture to post her to sell her, and I was like, dude, this thing's so pretty. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, dude, most imperators that you buy are crossed anyway. People just don't say that, but like, they've been so bred into Central American and bred into all these other things to try to get these morphs back in. I mean, the pied boas. That's a central. I'm pretty sure that's a Central American a Sigma morph. Like, that's where it originated. And the first thing they do is breed it into imperator. And I'm just like, like, it's fine. I get it, but make some pure Sigma too, please. Like, at least give us the option to keep it pure. But so I bred Tarahumara. Those things are super cool. Longicata. But I also just picked up through Casey, actually, a friend of his. I got some pure Hog Islands, so I have a group of those. I got some.
Dude, those are gorgeous.
Oh, dude, they're next level. Like, those are like, all. There's a lot of snakes where I open it up and I'm like, ooh, that's a pretty snake. But those ones are just like, there's no video or picture that really does them justice. Like, they are just phenomenal. And I'm always just like, why did people cross these into anything? Like, why would anyone look at this and be like, I need to change this in some way? Because I can't see how it could be better. But,
yeah, you just recently posted up a picture of your Hog Islands, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
had posted a video of one of the hogs. I think one of my males, because again, every time I open, I'm just like, God, these things are pretty. They're just so pretty.
So like the oranges, the speckles, the pale, like the gray paleness is like, what an incredible combination of colors. Yeah, they're insane looking.
Yeah, and it got, like, people started, I'm trying to remember what they're called, like a sun, they came up with some fancy name for them, but yeah, people bred them back into imperators to try to make they wanted to make hypo Hog Islands. And I'm just like, man, I get it. I get the idea. It's so pretty already. Let's make it even prettier. But it got to a point for a while there where it was hard to find pure ones anymore. Like, so many people had crossed them out that you didn't know if what you were getting was legit. And so I held off. I always thought they were pretty, but I was like, I don't know if what I'm getting is legit. And then when this group came up, I was like, oh yeah, I'm taking those for sure. Nice. But then, I got some crawl Ks. I have a lone female Calker K. If you know anyone who's got a legit male Calker K, my female is ready, and it's driving me bonkers because nobody has them. But yeah, so I have a few different boas. I really like the Amazon tree boas. I just think I think those things are super cool. It's
How
one
do
of
you
those.
keep yours? Do you keep yours in tubs or?
So my babies, I set up in tubs. It seems to be pretty common for people. My adults, I keep in exos like display, and they, I like that way more. I love walking into my room at night and I see them sprawled out, on the branches. Like they're such a beautiful snake. They look so cool. And I
Yeah.
do have a couple of males that are in tubs, and I like as soon as I just need to set up a enclosure for them because I just think that's so much better for them. Like I said, I
Yeah.
know people that like legitimately breed them in tubs, but yeah, again, if I walk into my room and I see them sprawled, like that's how they should be. That's how they should be set up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So what other boas do you have? Tell me about the Tarahumaras. What
yeah,
kind of drew you to them?
well, so nothing. Well, they're pretty. They're honestly beautiful. The first time I saw them, so this girl that I know, she was breeding a lot of reptiles. She got burned out. She got a really good job, was making a lot of money. She's like, I don't want to, this is too much work. I don't want to deal with it. And was like, take my whole collection. She had some really nice stuff. Like she had some like lower end ball pythons, but then she had a pair of pure Aru green tree pythons. She's actually the person who had all the Antaresia, and she had these Tarahumara. And I remember when I saw them in her house, they're in these little tubs. They're these tiny little boas. And I remember seeing them and thinking like, okay, they're a tiny little boa, but they look pretty boring. And I didn't realize it was just they weren't set up great, because since I've had them and I've had them set up in like a bigger enclosure with more space to move, more of a temperature gradient. They're not on paper. They're on bedding. They've got the bark and the like. Dude, they're a phenomenal looking animal, and they're
Yeah.
so small, like smaller than my ball pythons. And
Wow.
like it's just such a cool snake, and just like they're a little bit. They're not like super chill, but I've never had them strike at me. The babies were little shits. Like those things like to hiss. They're it's like every time I open the tub, immediately just hissing at me. But the adults are super chill, and yeah, they're just tiny. Like it's just such a cool snake.
Yeah, they remind me there's so many times I see them and they look like just like a tiny Occidentalis, just like a tiny Argentine.
The look is actually quite a bit different, but yeah, as babies, they're a little similar. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just picked up. Had no plans to get Occidentalis. I just picked up 2.2. I know
You
you were talking
did?
about one. Yeah, and dude, those things. Oh my god, those are pretty. Like I was always like,
Oh,
oh, like, yeah, it's one of those things. Like the guy had them at a show, and I saw them. I was like, oh my god, dude, you're killing me. And they're just so pretty in person. I couldn't say no to those.
dude, that's
So,
awesome. I'm
but
so
they're
happy to hear
babies.
that you have them. They're like that's like I think my favorite snake. Like if I could only have one snake, I think it would be an Argentine.
Well, the
Uh
first thing I asked him, I was like, dude, these things get massive. And he turns around and he has a tub behind him. And he's like, this is the dad. And I was like, oh, that's not that big. It's like,
yeah.
that's honestly not that big. I think it's like a lot of times people make boas seem like these huge monsters. And like my BIBC cross that I bred, she's not that big. Like she's maybe 5 foot, 5.5, and she's
Yeah.
11 years old. So it's like I think a lot of it comes from overfeeding too. Like if you smash them with food, they're gonna get huge. Like pretty much any species goes through that. But
Yeah.
if you're feeding them appropriately, they're not going to be monsters. At some point, they will. When they're 30 years old, they might be. But
Yeah, Bob Geyer, he has his Max Pink animals, and I
yeah,
know that he's got one female that is I can't remember how old she is, over 20 years old,
yeah,
and she's a monster. She
yeah,
is absolutely monstrous,
yeah,
and I mean, just the head on this thing is bananas. And yeah, that can be a little intimidating, but you're also talking about a 20-year-old animal. Like
right,
that's not, that animal didn't look like that at 7 or 8 years old,
yeah.
At
Well,
least I hope it didn't.
even the ringed pythons, the guy in Florida, the ones he had, dude, these things were legitimately like this big around. The ones
Wow.
I have are half that size. And and they're proven breeders. So it's like, yeah, you can have examples of animals that are massive, like for sure, any species. And especially once they're 20, 30 years old, of course they're going to be bigger. But I think a lot of people look at those extremes and they think that's the rule, not necessarily the exception. Like, of course, it's just like we talk about people. Sometimes people can be infertile. So there's people that are huge and there's people that are small. Like, it's just genetically,
Yeah.
there's genetic variation. So
Yeah, you have your William Philippex that can squat 700 pounds, and it's
yeah, well,
and then then you got guys like me that are like, I'm gonna stick with 135 because my hip's bothering me. I'm just gonna do a lot of reps. And
yeah, no, I'm happy if I can squat 225. So like,
yeah, exactly. It's genetics are pretty wild.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a big difference.
I mean, my Argentine girl, I think I got her at how old was she? I think like 2.5, and she's coming up on 4 now, I think. And she went from like 8 something pounds. I think she's at like 10.5 pounds now.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm feeding her once a month, every 3 weeks. I throw her like a jumbo rat, and she's just. I don't know if Argentines would have been my favorite snake, or if she's just such a cool snake that.
Dude, they're beautiful.
I mean. Well, it's the personality of her too, is that when I come in the room, she comes up and she rattles the glass. Like, she's not pushing. She just like bumps into it and it shakes the glass back and forth. And then I open the door and she'll either hang a third of her body out, or she'll come out and go into like a storage area under her cage. But she's just so chill and such a laid back snake. I love that snake.
The Pearl Island that I got is like that. The female, she's just really like, I don't know, dude. She's just beautiful. She's just always lounging. She's just hanging out on her branches. And then she sees me come out and she's just like super curious, like comes towards the front and just looks at me. And if I open it, she'll just crawl out and come hang out. And like, yeah, just a beautiful, beautiful, personable animal. So
yeah, I boas have so much potential as like pet snakes. I think too. Like if somebody wants like a pet snake, I feel like a boa that you work with a lot, they make such a great pet snake.
I'm surprised. The one thing that really surprises me, confuses me, is that longicauda aren't more popular, because I have those and they are like right out of the gate, freshly born babies. They're the most chill snake you can imagine. They don't get big as adults. And it's like, I get it, because when they're babies, they're pretty boring looking. Like, they're brown. They're just a brown and gray snake. Like, they don't look that cool. But as they age, they get this super dark, like black. Some of them have yellows in them. Some of them have striping, like there's so much variance. And I'm just like, man, I don't know how these aren't more popular as a pet for a starter person that doesn't want something big, but they want something that's going to get a little bit of size and that's going to be easy to work with.
How big do they get?
I mean, my female breeder, she had 2 litters. She was in a 3x2 enclosure. Like, she was maybe 4.5 foot. My male's like 3.5, 4. I mean, wow. they're my female was bigger than my ball pythons, but not by a ton. Like, I have some big ball pythons that would have rivaled her. And my male is smaller than most of my balls. So yeah, I'm always surprised that those aren't a more popular snake with people. But I think it's kind of like jungle carpet pythons. When they hatch out, they aren't very exciting. And so people see these really cool looking adult animals, these really like vibrant yellow jungles. And then they see a baby and they're like, oh, that's not a nice one. Not realizing it's going to grow. It's going to get color. So I think that's part of the issue is there hasn't been a lot of exposure with them. So a lot of people they see it and they don't even know what it is.
Yeah. I feel like there's so much potential for pet snakes, especially with like the smaller boas. It is wild that they haven't caught on. Yeah.
It's a lot of niche species are like that though. Like, when I had the water pythons, I think the Australian water pythons, the Fuscas, those are great pets. Like, those, when they're babies, they're pretty nippy, but they're a medium-sized snake. They're black, iridescent. They've got this bright yellow stomach. They're such a cool-looking snake. They're pretty low maintenance. Like, they eat really well. And it's just so weird to me those aren't more popular. Like, they don't have a reputation for being nasty. They're not hard to take care of. I'm surprised by a lot of things when there are things that are more popular. It's just weird to me.
Did you reproduce the waters this year?
No, this year she didn't go. I got eggs from her last year, and I don't know. I think I overfed a little bit. If we're being honest, I cut back. I looked at her. I was kind of feeding her again, expecting I was going to pair, and she didn't go. And now I'm like, ooh, okay, I probably need to dial back on food a bit. Because I think sometimes, especially breeders, like we can overfeed stuff. It's really easy to overfeed stuff. And when they lay, it's fine because they take a lot of that weight goes into the production of the eggs. But if they don't, I think it's really good to be mindful that we aren't getting them obese and we're not putting them it's a lot easier to put weight on a snake than it is to take off.
Yeah, for sure. Jeez. Yeah, that's like an understatement for sure.
Yeah, no, I've gotten a couple of animals that are just really obese, and it's really tough. I would much rather get a snake that's underweight because I know it's going to eat, it's going to do well, and I think that's something you hear a lot with boa breeders, or at least that I heard a lot was, oh yeah, if you try to move with them, they die. A lot of times they just die, they just get stressed out. And I think a lot of that came from overfeeding. I think people were just smashing their animals. They had unhealthy body condition. And then, of course, with the stress of a move or something, they're not going to handle it well. It's just too much snake, and their bodies can't handle it.
Do you know what line Argentines you have?
So they aren't the pink line. They're just the normal. I'm trying to remember the guy's Mike Causticus. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. But he's the guy who produced the male. They're pos het T positive, but I don't know that I'm gonna specifically breed for that. I just think the original looks beautiful. So
yeah, they're such cool snakes, dude. I freaking love Argentines.
Yeah.
And you know what's cool? I've told this story a million times, but I'm going to tell it again. I don't care. So I have my big female, and then I got a pair, and the pair I have is the Fortune line, and they were smuggled into, I think, like LAX or something from Argentina. Okay. And they got confiscated, and those dudes got hauled away, and those babies went to the Seattle Zoo. And Edgar Fortune reproduced them. Okay. And so when I remember talking to Ryan about this on the phone, and I was like, yeah, Edgar, or these are the Fortune line. And he's like, Edgar Fortune? And he's like, he's like an old friend of mine. And I'm like, no kidding.
That doesn't surprise me, though. I feel like Ryan knows everybody.
He does.
Every time Ryan has some sort of experience with that person, like whether it was good or bad. Like he's like, oh, I know him all right.
Yeah. And yeah, he's like, oh yeah, we're like old friends. And I'm like, no kidding. So yeah, that's like, I know people are probably so sick of hearing that story, but I think it's cool. I think it's a cool story, you know, that they're like these smuggled animals that got confiscated. Yeah. But yeah, they're so cool. And again, as babies, like super hissy, you know, and they have that, but they actually look more attractive, I think, sometimes as babies. Well, different. It's a different, you know, look.
Yeah, I will say, like the pink sheen that a couple of the babies have that I have right now, I'm just like, man, these are fantastic. And I'm sure as they age, that's going to go away, and it's going to just be the black and white. But I don't like either way. I just, whatever one I'm looking at, they are a nice looking snake. Like there's no getting around it.
Oh yeah, I mean the black and white is cool, and like my bigger girl is sort of a she's not even black, she's like chocolate brown. Okay. And yeah, so it's so cool, especially like the Max Pink ones too. I mean, I'm trying to get my hands on a Max Pink male, and that'll kind of square out my 2.2. But yeah, I wish you great success with them. That's awesome.
Oh, same to you. How old's the pair you got?
The pair is just over a year now, I want to say. I want to say
you got a little bit of time yet, a couple of years.
Oh yeah. It'll be a while. I guess I don't know when the male will be ready to go. Maybe like 2 or 3, maybe 4, something like that, you know. But my female, at least I know for sure my female will be ready by then.
Oh yeah, for sure.
She'll be good to go. But yeah, it's so what do you think like some of the biggest hurdles are with breeding boas over pythons, because like it does scare me, because I hear people talk and it's like, oh yeah, you know, you breed them and then you end up with a whole pile of slugs and it's just stillbirth. And like, so yeah, that's my concern.
So I actually had that happen. I had that happen with that cross animal. My friend had her. I bred her at his house. She slugged out fully. I had her at my house the next year, and she slugged out all except one baby, one perfect, beautiful baby. And I was just like, God. And then this year, she, like her body, like I know this is another thing I've heard boa people say, like don't breed them 2 years in a row. But I talked to Jason Raimondi. I would argue he's probably, most people know he's pretty successful with boas. And I just said, dude, is that true? He said, if they look good, what is the harm in it? Like, yeah, if they're skinny, obviously don't breed them again. But he said he had a female he'd bred 11 years in a row. Like every year she just looked great.
Jeez.
And so, yeah, but if they have good body condition, they don't look like they're unhealthy. Like, well, then what is the harm? It's not like in the wild, a male's going to come up and be like, oh, you bred last year. Okay, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they're healthy and they're ready to go, then you're not hurting them. But so she looked great. I was just like, okay, well, I'm going to pair her again. And then this year she had 14 healthy babies and then 14 more slugs. So slowly, progressively getting less slugs with her. But yeah, no, I mean, that's a real, I've heard people, like they're the heartbreakers, because you see all these things happening. They ovulate and then 4 months you're waiting, expecting babies. Then all of a sudden it's just nothing.
Yeah.
But I've had pretty good luck. I don't know. I've talked to Ryan about this a lot. Ryan is very convinced, and I'm pretty convinced also, that slugs in general, with ball pythons, with pythons, with boas, slugs are the result of too much heat. And so that's why I've been making it a point where I do not raise their heat until I know they've ovulated and they need the heat. So that is the only female boa I've had where I've had slug issues. Every other clutch has been pretty much perfect. Like perfect babies, everything's great. I bred an imperator the year before. It was like 22 babies perfect. The rainbows, perfect litters. The Tarahumara, perfect litters. So, but with pythons, what I've noticed is if you have your room too hot or your heat is too high, you will get more slugs. And other people have experienced that too. When you if you're noticing that, you drop your heat down, your rate of slugs goes down. You start getting healthier clutches.
Wow.
So I firmly believe that's a real thing. And I don't know, I don't have enough experience with boas to know. I just know that outside of that one female that has progressively been having healthier litters, yeah, I'm not giving them heat until they ovulate.
Wow.
And that's seemed to have worked well. And I'm not saying I'm not giving them heat at all. Like, I just keep their heat dropped. Like, they're at 80-degree hotspot, not 85 or 88. So
give me some more, give me some parameters there. Like, so do you provide heat just during the day, or do you turn it off at night?
I drop my heat. I do like over an hour. I do just like a gradual drop into night. And then my ambient temps are dropping at night too. So during the day, my ambients are usually back up to 78 or 80 in the winter. And my hot spot's dropping 10 degrees or, maybe 5 degrees at least. But yeah, night drop, they come back up in the morning, they get a basking. For the animals that I do basking spots, like the Amazon tree boas, I just shorten the duration because I can't really control how hot it's getting with them. I can just control the duration of the day that they're getting heat.
Sure.
So for those, I just drop to like a 4 or 6 hour heat instead of a 12 hour.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Yeah. And I mean, okay. All right. Yeah. Cause I have all 25 watt heat lamps, and except for my taller enclosures, those are 50s, and they all just run off of smart switches. So they're set up to go off of the sunrise and sunset.
Yep. That's what I'm doing. My Exos. Yeah.
So yeah, like obviously during the winter that, right now they're probably at like a 13-hour, span of time. And then during the winter, that's going to shrink way down.
Right. No, and that's exactly what I'm doing is as the day shortens, and here we get a really short day cycle in the winter. Like it's dark until like 8 or 9 a.m. and then it gets dark again at 4. But yeah, I'm dropping my the ones that have the basking, their time cycle just cuts way down. So
Yeah. Okay.
so that is how I'm doing those.
Interesting. And what dimensions were those Exoterras?
So, dude, I feel like they should be bigger than what I'm doing. I do 18/18/24s. It's
Okay.
just because I can fit three. I run ARS racks for most stuff, and you can fit. Ryan built these. He built these welded things that go on the top of the ARS racks, and they perfectly fit three 18/18 exos. So
Oh
that's how I
wow.
have those run. But
Okay, cool.
I've seen like I've been to Dayton's. I don't know if you know Dayton Croydon. He does a lot of
No.
HDR boards. He does a lot of Amazons. I've been to his house, and he does bigger enclosures for his Amazons, and I think they look a lot better. I think
Oh
they
yeah, well I
they're
mean
way,
anything, I mean like you look at like Reptilandia and like you see these giant enclosures with like this one water snake going around and you're
yeah,
like that's freaking sick,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm trying to think of like if I get a green tree python, I'm probably just going to do like one animal and set it
Mhm.
up in like a bioactive enclosure, but I know that I have like if I get a baby, I've got like 2 years of that growing in a tub before I can,
Yeah,
before I have to set it up.
yeah. No, and
But
my green trees. I know that's kind of a hot topic too. Is a lot of people really argue the green tree pythons need to be in these big 3x2 enclosures, and I know there's some arguments about that too. But again, it's kind of the argument between breeding and
keeping them in captivity is, something that you want to observe. Have you reproduced them yet?
no. So I was watching. I'm really mad at myself because I was watching my pair, and I was like, okay, they look like I should probably pair them, and for whatever reason, I was just like, I was just being lazy, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'll pair them a little bit here. Like it was, they're set up with branches that are kind of a pain to take out. And like if you've worked with green tree pythons, they wrap around the branches. You can't just pull them out like most snakes. You can't just take them out of the enclosure. You have to move the branch. And so the
Mm.
way I had them set up was really difficult, and I just didn't like doing it. So I was like, oh, I should probably pair them. That's a pain though. And so I kind of just put them off. And then my female, even though I just kind of effed them off, I was like, well, my female started going through the stages. I was like, oh shit, she's gonna actually have a clutch. And I'm watching her, and I talked to people, and I got her set up to lay the eggs, and I'm just like, huh, like she started going in her lay box, and she's sitting there. I was like, oh, this is super cool. And then she dropped like a bunch of infertile eggs, and there were a couple slugs in there too. And I was just like, ugh, like I did not put in the effort that I should have. I was really frustrated with myself. So I'm hoping this year I'm making it a point. I'm reducing a lot of try. I say it every year and then I don't. I'm going to try to reduce. I'm going to try really hard to reduce some of the ball pythons. I'm going to try to reduce some of the other things I'm not as excited about. I really want to focus this next year. I want to try and hit the green trees. I want to try and hit a lot of the Amazons because I think I have 4.4 Amazons. I'd like some pretty cool looking stuff. I really like those. I want to try and hit the locality boas, the ones that are ready. So that's my goal for this next year is to focus more on the boas since I hit the python so hard this time. Well,
that
outside of the arus, I do want to do the green tree pythons. I still haven't bred them, so
That the Amazons are so wild, dude. Like every time, I think it was didn't Ryan just post up a picture of a litter of
yeah,
Amazons and
yeah,
like it's such a mixed
the
bag of
diversity.
yeah, it's like it's so cool. You have like six totally different looking animals in
Yep.
there. It's so wild.
And the funny thing is, you take these, like, you never know what you're going to get. You pair two animals that look almost identical. Like, you've got a red and orange banded, a red and orange banded. You're like, okay, I'm going to get a bunch of red and orange banded. And you get no red and orange banded. You get Halloweens, and you like, it just makes no sense. And I know there's people like, I know Randy P I know Nick Mutt and Dayton, they're all kind of like trying to work out the genetics a little bit because there has to be rhyme and reason to it. There has to be an explanation. And for me too, like I'm really into the genetics like that. Like I said, that's what got me into the ball pythons is seeing all these cool things. So for me, it's interesting to think about, what if we could dial in the Amazons? What if we could figure out, like, this is how Anery is presenting and it's recessive. This is how the bandit is expressing and how it's transmitted. And like, that'd be so neat to dial in. But the biggest issue with that is no one knows what the base animal looks like. Like, there's still a lot of debate over what's a normal Amazon. And every time we breed, every time people get litters, there's just so much random things that you weren't expecting. Like, where do you even begin to isolate one specific gene? So
yeah, it's so true. I mean, they're so cool, and there is so much diversity with them, and that's
dude,
like
they're
something
beautiful.
that
They got a bad reputation for being nasty snakes, and I think it's just because it used to be that all of them were wild caught. Because I have a couple that were wild caught, and they are nasty. Like, you don't handle them. They're
yeah.
just looking snakes. But all of the captive ones that I have, all the ones that I've produced, they're pretty chill. Like, I just take them out. They're totally fine. They have no problems. Like, occasionally they'll bluff strike, but it's, they just like bop you with their head. It's not like they don't even try to bite you. So they're really cool snakes.
That's like my jungle carpets. They do that where it's like they look like they're gonna mess you up, and then they're just like, I'll headbutt you. You know, how's that make you feel?
Yeah,
you know. It's they're so cool looking. Eventually I would like to add them to my collection as well. I mean, maybe like once I get a facility and I have more room, like they're so neat. And I think Randy keeps them cohabbed. I believe I remember talking to him, or at least maybe not.
I'm not sure if he does or not.
I could totally be lying, but or just fabricating memories. Who knows? But he really sold me on them. That they can be really laid back and sure. The genetics and they're just such cool animals. Do you think that the ring pythons would make a good pet that you can handle if you work with them, or zero chance? Because it seems like they're really getting popular because of how cool they look, and especially the babies. Like, people see those and it's like
the Halloween snake. They're mind-blowingly beautiful as babies. I still think they're beautiful as adults, but I swear, like, I have never one single time posted ringed pythons and not had at least one person say, too bad they don't look like that as adults.
Yeah.
I know, dude. Like, I know, we get it. But I still think they're pretty. Like, they're still like super iridescent. They've got the blacks and the golds, and like, so they're a pretty snake. But dude, I had convinced myself, because I got two females from Ryan 5 years ago, and those were the ones I bred this year. And I had convinced myself at one point, I'm going to work with these animals and I'm going to make them chill. They're going to be my best friend. And that's just, dude, every time one of them's okay. And the other one, dude, if I'm within striking distance and they don't just bite, they don't just nip you, they bite and they grab and they twist to try to do as much damage as they possibly can. So it's not even like, oh, tee-hee, this snake bit me. It's like, no, dude, they're trying to mess you up. So, like, they just don't like being messed with. And I'm sure they're not all like that. My male is actually totally fine. He wants to get away, but he's never once struck or bit or anything. Like, I can take him out and handle him, no problem. But I think if you're expecting, and same with my white-lipped male, I can take him out, handle him, he's totally chill, but that is not the norm. And I think if people are looking at it and thinking, like, I'm going to get it and work with it and it's just going to go great, maybe, like, you might get it too, but I don't know that it's up to you. I think it's up to whatever animal you get, and maybe you get lucky and maybe you don't. So
do you think that male snakes are generally more chill than females?
I don't think it matters. I really think it's just individual. Like, because we're just talking about the rings where my male is just super chill. My macklets are the opposite. My macklets, my female, I can take out. Other than now she's putting weight back on. She wants to eat a lot. But, like, take her out, like the most chill snake you can imagine. I can go in her enclosure. I change her water. I rub my hand along her because she's pretty. And the male, if I touch him, he's going to bite and wrap. So it's really, I really think it's just individual dependent. And I think that goes for pretty much everything. Other than if we're talking about breeding season, I know retics are notorious that males during breeding season will just be lunatics. So
Do you keep retics?
I don't. I have bred. I have not bred retics because the one I had was a mutt. It was a hybrid, a dwarf mainland cross. So in circles where people count what you've bred, if it's a hybrid, it doesn't count as anything. But I
Oh,
bred
wow.
her. I bred her 3 or 4 times, I think, and they are honestly my favorite snake that I have ever worked with. But I ran into there were several babies I sold because every time I got babies, like, dude, these are the prettiest snakes ever. They're so cool. They're so interactive. They're so like, I don't know if they're smart or not, but they just seem more inquisitive. And I was just like, these are the coolest snakes I've ever had. And then I saw a few of them down the road, like a couple years later, that were just in the most abysmal conditions.
Oh,
And
no.
it really turned me off to it. And then just I've talked about this with other people, but just the realization that the average person cannot adequately set up a reticulated python. They just can't. And so if you're producing these animals that out of the gate, like, you can make the argument, ball pythons, a lot of people aren't going to set them up right, but they could. Like, they have the ability to. I feel like a reticulated python, a lot of people don't even have the ability to set them up correctly. So that's where I sit and I say, well, do I really want to produce something? Do I really want to breed something where I know out of the gate, before this even comes out of the egg, I know that its chance at a good quality of life is not great? Do I really want to be responsible for producing these and sending them places just in the interest really of making money or satisfying myself? Like, ooh, I bred these things. Is that fair to the animals? And I don't want to sound like some snob and some animal activist or something, like, because
Yeah.
like I said, I'm not some peak, like, I'm doing all these amazing things. Like, I use racks, I do all that, but retics were where I had a hard time just personally, where I couldn't justify breeding them. Even the dwarf ones, I just was like, I don't.
How do you deal with that as a breeder with the ethics of where your animals go? Because at the level that you're doing it at, where you have, let's say, 100 to 200 animals to sell,
Yeah.
you are not going to be able to vet each
Nope.
person and make sure that they're going to a good house.
No, there's zero chance. I can't, and I have to accept. All I can do, I can't control what someone does. Even, look, I've talked to people that vet their customers, that go through all these steps, that are really interested, and they want to make sure they all go to a great home, and they still have people kill snakes. And there's just nothing you can do. The minute that animal leaves your care, there's nothing you can do. And as a breeder, you just have to accept that. And it's not great. Like, the one caveat to that, the upside to that, is that I know most animals that I sell, I feel like are going to someone that is going to do well, that is really going to enjoy that animal. It's going to bring them, a good feeling, like it's going to be a pet for them. It's something they love, that they really, really can enjoy. And it's the same thing with dogs and cats. I mean, it's no matter what we're talking about, no matter what animal we're talking about, there are going to be some that end up in bad conditions, and it's just, as a breeder, you can't focus on that. We can do what we can do. Like, I can make a genuine effort to reach out to people if they're having problems. Like, please let me know. Like, I want to walk you through this. I want you to be successful, and so I can take the steps I can take. But no, you're right. I can't vet everyone. There's no way I can. And even if I did, I don't think it would matter that much. I think people are going to lie to you. People are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to convince you they can care for it, whether they can or can't. So, yeah, I just think there's some level of acceptance that we have to take.
Yeah. I mean, so, and how do you balance that offering support after a sale? I mean, like, like how many, like, cause I feel like with the amount of animals you produce, like, that could easily get out of hand.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It really is tough, but I'm very big. I am really big on, if you have supported me, if you have given me money and supported what I'm doing, I'm going to support you. So as long as someone is willing to actually listen to me, I've had a couple of instances where I'm trying to help someone and I'm like, and I get them dialed in and everything's great. And then they message me 6 months later. I'm like, okay, well, what did you change? And they say, I didn't change anything. So I'm going through all these different things. And then they're like, oh, yeah, well, I forgot I moved it into a different room. And I forgot we turned the AC on. And I forgot we did this and this. And it's like, dude, I can't help you if you aren't helping me. But in general, if someone's bought for me, I am there for them. Like 100%. Like I will make time. I have a lot of people that reach out. They want information. They want to. I just had someone last night. I was responding to someone last night, like 9 o'clock. Like I'm in bed and I'm responding to someone like, can you take temps of this for me so we can dial this in? I had someone that messaged me last week. They got a snake 6 months ago. It had been doing great. All of a sudden, started eating. I was like, no. They were like freaking out. They're so stressed out. It was like a $200 snake, 6 months ago. I could have just been like, well, good luck. But no, like I want them to be successful. I said, okay, well, send me pictures, shoot me the info. Let's sort this out. Don't stress. Everything's fine. And just really, I'm going to support you if you are going to support me. So,
Awesome.
The big part is they need to want help and not argue or not lie. I think that's the tough part.
Yeah, that's got to be frustrating when they think that they know what you want to hear, right. And but they're asking you for help,
right? But clearly something's wrong. Like, just tell me what you did so I can help you. Like, that's all I'm asking. Help me help you. I want to help you. I want you to be successful. So
what on a at the level at which you're keeping, like, what does it look like? Do you breed your own rodents, or are you buying them?
No, so I was buying, and it was like $1,000 a month just for rodents, and I was just like, wow, yeah, like that's a lot. So you got to sell, yeah. Anyway, so I talked to, dude, like I said, Ryan Young has been one of the biggest supporters. Like I couldn't be where I am without him. He has an off building. He has off of his facility. He has a rodent breeding room where he's already doing rodents. And so basically he has let me set up racks in his rodent room. And so I'm out there every weekend. We clean rodents together, which is actually really cool because we get to hang out and BS and kind of just like talk about the market and talk about snakes, just kind of shoot the shit and just, life things and just hang out and clean rodents for a few hours. But
yeah.
Do you
wear a respirator while you're in there?
I have bad allergies. I have to get allergy shots because otherwise I'm just like constantly running. So, and they tested me. I'm allergic to rats, like badly allergic. So yeah, I have to wear like a face. We glove up. Like, yeah, it's a whole thing. But I mean, I could not have this many babies and not have access to live. Like, there's just no way to get this many ball python babies started without having access to hoppers. Yeah. Like some of them will start on frozen, and sometimes they'll do it right away, but most times they need to have a couple of live first.
Yeah. So, dude, that's so epic. Do you know how many people would like give their left leg to be able to hang out with Ryan Young like every weekend and like just to be able to like pick up tidbits of information as you're, cleaning rats and everything?
No, it's great because it's just like little pieces here and there. Like the funny thing is though, I think most people assume that like I'm super familiar with all the things he's doing. And like, I'm out there every single weekend. I think I've been in his adult room maybe a dozen times. And a couple of times were when he was out of town and he just needed he needed some waters changed because otherwise I just don't go in there. And he doesn't tell me what he's breeding either. I'll just randomly because I'll usually I walk past his baby room or I'll walk past his incubator and I'll just randomly see a clutch of eggs. I'm like, where did you get eggs from? It's like, or I'll see something hatching. I'm like, what did you even have in there? Like, I didn't even know you bred this. So I really don't know. He's pretty secretive about what he breeds, even with me. But I also don't really pry that much. And I'm not someone, I think it's kind of stressful having other people in your collection. Like, because I've had people that come in and like they want to open tubs, they want to look at stuff, like they want to touch stuff, they want to, and mentally for me, it really stresses me out, especially during breeding season. Like there's certain things, like I do not want you touching that because I've got them actively paired, or I know it's something that's high stress. I don't want it freaked out. So I'm very hands off, and I think that's why I've been in his room as much as I have. Because if I'm in there, I am an observer. Like, I am hands off. I'm not touching anything. Like, if he wants to show me something, great, but I'm not going to go open something. I'm not going to, and even if he does, I'm not touching it. Like, he knows I don't have anything, but I just don't touch his stuff. I don't want there to be any concern or any.
Yeah, it's a respect thing.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it's hard. I mean, a lot of people, especially newer people, don't really think about that when you go into someone's collection. Like, it's all cool, right? Like, biosecurity isn't really a thought on most people's minds until you have a large collection or until you have something happen. So I think once you hit a certain point with your collection where you're very mindful, like, I can't afford to have something come in here that's going to be a health concern. Like, I cannot take that risk. When you're starting out, you don't really think about that. You've got 10 snakes or 20 snakes. Like, you're just handling your snakes. You're just doing whatever. But you do reach a point where there's a risk threshold that you can't accept anymore. Yeah. So that's a big part of it is even though he knows I don't have anything, I know he doesn't have anything. It's still just hands, like, don't mess with stuff.
Yeah. I went to go see Stephen Tillis's collection. And he was like, yeah, if you could wear clean clothes. And I'm like, dude, like, everything is going to be freshly washed coming out of the dryer. Like, I'm going to shower before we leave, just as because I would want somebody to do that before they come. And like, if you have a bunch of snakes, I would want somebody to do that. It's like taking your shoes off before you go into somebody's house.
Right.
If I do that at my house, I'm going to do it at your house as a courtesy because that's what I do,
Yeah.
So
it's like you said, it is just kind of a matter of being respectful and especially, I've mentioned this before, but I'm just and Ryan's the same way. He's very particular when he cleans. Like, he doesn't have issues, but he's just very particular. Like, he cleans this group of animals first, and then he cleans this group of animals next, and then he cleans. And so if somebody's like, I want to see this one, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, I want to see that one. He doesn't want to go back and start like handling everything and just, it's just one of those things. It just it's difficult because you don't want to tell someone like, no, you can't see my stuff. But at the same time, like, no, you can't see my stuff. Sorry. I just don't want to. Yeah, I just don't want to stress the thought a lot of times.
Yeah. Biosecurity is such a.
Well, I heard a story. I can't remember who it was, but someone had a Bolin's python and they had a bunch of people over and everyone was handling it. And everyone was really excited, super cool. And then everyone left and it was dead the next day. No. So it's like, okay, this is a perfect example of why we don't do that. Why, yes, everyone wants to see it. Yes, you want to show off. Yes, you want everyone to enjoy this, but you have to take the animals into consideration and what's best for them. So. Yeah,
man. Well, I guess we'll wrap this up. One other thing I did want to ask you about, like, what is feeding and changing waters look like? I mean, like, how do you do that?
Assembly line.
That's insane, dude. With that many animals.
So we just talked about, I do things in groups. So I don't have enough time in a day to do all of them. So I've basically set it up so, like, Tuesday night I'm cleaning Maclots and rings. Wednesday night I'm cleaning Antaresia. Thursday night I'm cleaning ball pythons. And then Saturday I'm cleaning all my adult ball pythons. Sunday I'm cleaning all of my adult other pythons. So I've just had to basically stagger it out across days, but it really is just an assembly line. It's like, and part of my issue is I do want to handle every single baby. Because if I'm selling them to someone, I need to be able to tell them, like, yeah, this one's super chill. Okay, this one's a little bit more defensive. I don't want to sell someone a super defensive animal, especially a ball python, where they're thinking they're getting a super chill ball python and it starts biting at them. Like, I don't want that. So I'm very mindful. Like, I go through, I take all of them out while I'm changing the water. I'm handling them. I'm working with them. But it is a big, big time crunch. There's no getting around it.
So. Yeah, I can't imagine. Do you have Timor pythons?
No, I don't.
Oh,
I don't have any. I don't have tumors. I don't have any scrubs. I have very few big snakes. I've just got a couple boas and I've got the falsies.
Are
So
you gonna end up like branching out at some point? Like if you want to catch up to Ryan, like you're gonna
so
have to do it.
this is where I'm like, I will never catch Ryan. I just can't. But in my head, I'm like, I don't know, dude. I've already done quite a few things. Like maybe I don't catch him, but maybe I at least chase him a little bit. Like at least kind of maybe scare him at minimum.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. At some point, I'm guessing what I'll do. And I don't like the idea of this. Was probably what's going to have to happen is I'll probably end up getting pairs of stuff that I just breed and then pass along to someone else. Like I just to get just to check a box. And I don't want to, because I'd rather just breed what I want to breed and just keep, have a very, in general, I already have a super closed collection. It's very rare that I'm buying new animals.
Yeah.
So that's another, it's something I got to think about. Am I actually gonna? I feel like I could, if I really wanted. I could at least, like I said, give him a scare. I won't catch him, but at least keep him on his toes. But
and you got to ask him where he's at with his boas. You got to be like, yeah, what have you done anything with Occidentalis or?
So he doesn't count boas. Like he just counts pythons. He's bred some boas, but yeah, for him that's a whole. I don't know that I feel like I'm way more into boas than he is. Like I know he likes them. He just had an emerald litter, just beautiful emerald litter. I know he was over the moon about that. So
yeah, they're gorgeous. God dang. Yeah. There's been a lot of success out on the West Coast this year. Like wild Dude, success.
I didn't realize when I moved up here. Yeah, like Casey Lazick lives up here, Ryan lives up here, Nick Mutton lives up here, and just like like Dayton, Randy. And I know. Do you know Jeff and Kendra, Puget Sound Pythons?
No.
They're up here. They've got a huge collection of stuff too. Just a lot of rare animals.
Wow.
So yeah, there's just a ton of people up here with really cool collections that when I moved here, I had no clue. Like it's a hot spot for whatever reason.
Dude, you have so much stuff. I just realized, like, I wanted to ask you about your short tails too. Like, what do you have as far as short
I just have a pair of bloods. I just have a T positive Batrix and a 007 het T positive female. I just have a pair. So yeah, it was a pairing that I only ever wanted one pair of bloods. And that was the exact pairing that I wanted to do. Cause I was like, I'll make a little bit of everything that I think is cool. And my friend ended up buying that exact pair, like that exact pair of animals. I was like, dude, come on, like you dream stealer. But when he moved, he was like, dude, I can't take all my animals. Do you want these? Like do a breeding on? I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. So that was actually how that worked out. Is I got them last year or 2 years ago, and then bred them this year.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, 2 years.
I have a trio of bloods. I went with the Martyr line. I just wanted just kind of like just blood pythons and like the nicest representation of them in their normal form, you know, and God dang, they're beautiful animals. I love them so much.
Are yours all chill, or are a couple of them not?
They are very chill. I got one from Tim Bailey. I got one female from Tim Bailey and then the other from Kendra. I'm sorry, from Kara. From Kara. I was just thinking of CBE, Cold Blooded Earth.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting a pair from Kara, and I got the female, and now I'm waiting on the male, and the male is just absolute perfection.
Nice.
And the female is absolutely beautiful. But nobody's bit at me. They're very hungry, like when I open their tub, they like stick their head out of the hide and they're like, is it time? And they do that. It's interesting. Like they'll huff, like they blow air out of their nostrils.
Yep.
And it's weird that it blows. Like if you look at the anatomy of their nostrils, it blows like back down their body, so like if you like go to pet them on the head, they'll hit you with that air. Like it's really interesting.
Well, if you've ever had one strike at you, it is amazing for a dumpy short snake how like acrobatic they are. Because I have had one where I'm holding it and it is facing completely away from me, and the next thing I know, it is 180, like just latched. Like, dude, they are no joke. But my male is just a sweetheart. Like no problem. My female, not so much. Like she's very huffy. she's gotten a lot better. I've worked with her a lot, and she's calmed down. But she's definitely.
So does she just do the huffing, or does she strike too?
So I've gotten her off of the striking. She was full blown striking and everything. Like not like nonstop striking, but she would definitely strike to get you to leave her alone. And she's gotten past that. She just huffs now. She huffs quite a bit, but not not nearly as bad as it used to be. So
I forget who had the video, but there's this video on Instagram where this dude is sitting on a couch with two short tails, and the one is like obviously stressed out, and I think he like just picked him up that day, and it ends like right when one of them strikes, and like that video gives me so much anxiety because I'm looking at the animals and I'm like, neither of those animals are digging this. Like they are not happy right now.
Clearly,
they're not happy. Like they don't want to be on that couch.
Right.
They're not digging it, you know, and yeah, it was pretty. It's a gnarly video. It's hard to watch.
No, I'm pretty mindful. Like if I can tell a snake wants me to leave it alone, I'm usually just like, okay, we'll try again next week. Like sometimes with the boas, especially if they're young, like the goal is to get them to not react that way. So it's like, I want you to know I'm not going to hurt you. So with the younger boas, a lot of times I will just take them out and just hold them, wait till they calm down a little bit, and then put them back. But adult snakes, I feel like at a certain point, you have to just reach a mutual understanding where we are going to coexist. We might not like each other, but at least we're going to be okay with each other. So that's the goal usually.
I feel like, I mean, I have such a small collection. It's funny because like people that I work with, when I tell them that I have 25 snakes, they're like, man, what's wrong with you? And like, but like to you, you're like, God, I remember having 25 snakes, you know, it's like, you know,
I would love to have 25 snakes, honestly. Like just that my life would be so much easier. But
yeah, it's like,
that's a good amount though. Like you have a good amount of diversity though. Like you have some cool stuff. So
yeah, and that's been my goal, is just to like keep really, really cool animals that are from cool people too. Is like,
for sure.
Is you know, like I want them to be from cool people, and you know, I got the, you know, a lot from Ryan, and you know, I've got that spotted from you, and that spotted python is he's so cool. He's so chill. Like both the females from Ryan are psychos, and and that male, I'm like, oh yeah, Ryan definitely didn't breed this male.
Well, he's more of a hands off. Like he feeds. Like I said, I go through all my babies. I spend way more time than I should with my babies. Like just going through and handling them and working with them, and like I don't know.
It shows.
Like most of the time, well, some of them are still just kind of high strung, but at least I can communicate that. Like that's my big thing. I at least want to be able to tell someone, like, look, this thing's probably not going to like you, but at least have a heads up.
The wild thing is that male is so chill that if my kids want to hold a spotted python, like, or if they want to hold a snake, I'm like, here, you can hold the spotted python, because he will not bite. It's like he's not capable of biting. Even like a food response, like he'll like zoom up to my hand if I'm getting the cup out. Yeah. But then he'll stop short and just be like, oh, you're not a mouse, you know, and just like retreat back in. Yeah. He's a thoughtful snake.
Good. Yeah. I'm glad you're happy with them. Like those are, like I said, all the Antaresia I made, like the spotteds, I thought were the coolest. Those striped spotteds, it's like, man, these things are rad. And I've got a clutch right now. I've still got a few that I'm waiting to get started. But yeah, they're just great. Like I can reach in, take them out, and handle them. They're fine. And yeah, no, I dig them.
Yeah, they're awesome. And mine are going to be, they're little ballers. They're going to be in 3x2 by 1.5 foot tall enclosures. So yeah, once they cannot escape, which is still probably a few months off. But all right, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on. You're absolutely killing it, and it's really fun watching you post, and keep shit posting the gatekeepers. And
somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to troll a little bit. So,
oh, dude, I love it. It's so funny. It's entertaining. It really is.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on, man. It's good chatting with you. Thank you.